Hi all and welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity Christmas special that will replace the normal show. Do we do normal shows anymore? I'm not too sure. So why is it early? Well, we've got a couple of guests coming on from Europe. Well, we only have one now. Unfortunately, one of them is not too well, or one of his family isn't. So that's why we've got the earlier show today. So it saves you waiting another 4.5 hours. Today will be a bit of a laugh and a celebration of THI, not Christmas. THI is not just for Christmas, you know. And it's a chance for all to let their hair down, if you have any. Pull out the curlers, put on your big boy and girl pants, and skinny dip with your fellow THIers in a no-holds-barred laugh-a-thon. You know, life in general and much of what is covered in our shows is all very serious. It is triggering. Yes, I know I trigger. And absorbing and processing the darkness. And it can be all too consuming at times. And whilst I do add a little humorous comments here and lines there into the shows, and you all have your favourite lines on that front, there comes a time to have some downtime and let it all go. There will be various guests coming on the show at various intervals during the show today, and a chance for them to be recognised for their tireless work in keeping THI and the TPC running as smoothly as possible, despite the various attempts by clowns, agents and their minions this year. And I guess our tiny show, run by the tiny man, bothers them a bit. We will have the admins Holly and Ramona on. James couldn't make it. Plus we're hoping Randy will join us later, along with Alan from Circle of White Light, and also Kim and the special guest, Drakey Cakes, will be appearing later on the show. Other notable names I must give special thanks to for varying reasons related to THI and the TBC are Stephanie Arkalik, Willow Niatsuma, Michelle Hanksack, Brendan O'Flaherty, Michael Jacquin, Lee Canop, Ellen Carrier, Glenn Connon, Nancy Berens, Liam Torrance, and also Lucid Dreamer, amongst others. Right, so let's get your THI TP shirts on, get your red thongs out and your pink wellies on, and most other unsuitable attires. Throw away your unwanted Christmas jumpers, socks and underpants, and let's get the party on. Hi all and welcome back. That was Cliff Richard and the Young Ones, and Adrian Edmondson, one of my favourites. It has been an extraordinary year on all levels for me personally, THI as well, and much progress has been made on so many levels. Despite one of the external based levels not yet coming to fruition, which is the funding. But perhaps the end piece tonight will put it into perspective of how funding is of little overall importance in the grand scheme of things. The trust and the team are involved in things on a far more higher level than pieces of paper. And whilst Kim and the team would like to get it delivered to you, you have to understand that our greater priorities at times. We are in that time. Participation in the Peace Balls Club has gained significant ground this year in terms of numbers, participants and also donations. And I want to thank everyone who was able to participate in that. It is much appreciated. The increase in donations has been around 50 to 55%. And hopefully next year we can expand it outside the THI members into the new year. The gist of the $1 a week or month is a frequency-based choice, as well as being very simple. Yes, the trust money will eventually come out, but the trust is to enhance what we've already built, is the way I see it. Some will argue that I came up with that as an excuse for not delivering the funds. No, that idea was before the trust became an integral part of THI. And if given the choice of every American putting in $1 a week or $1 a month into the TPC or the trust funding it, me personally, I would prefer the former. Not because it was my idea, but because it means that everyone participated, not just a few. And it also has a higher resonant frequency to it. Imagine what the TPC America could do with $300 million per month. The improvements, advancements and empowerment of and for and by the people. It would alter the landscape, frequency and consciousness in this country forever. Suddenly you would have a whole country invested in their own well-being, improving life, and people being creative again. People having a voice or a say in their own and others' well-being. We could end the competitive and comparative streaks that pervades much of society, develop the need, not greed program, service to others and not just service to the self. Reality of what is life and what is important would become the norm with the right teaching and application. People learning to come together in harmony and would drastically reduce the effects of the divisive programs that have been run on us. The cooperative model put forward in greater strength this year does not just apply to businesses. It is actually a social and psychological based plan as well. And if applied correctly, it will change much, not just on an external level, but internal and frequency-based levels as well. I must thank all who could afford to chip in to my Patreon again this year. I was hoping to end that subscription this year, but alas, the blocking of the funds by the clowns continues. So a special thanks to you all who have contributed. The shows, as forecasted, have increased in volume, intensity, and a much clearer picture now is garnered by the members of how life and our reality, like our history, was distorted beyond all comprehension. I cannot go without mentioning the backbone of our shows this year, and a series that I'm personally immensely proud of. At first it was meant to be a 3-part series and a part 4 as a summary, but it developed into much more than that and has allowed you all to glimpse into the bigger picture. It connected the dots of the patterns and went further than even I suspected at the beginning, and the impact of those shows will be felt over a long period of time, I suspect. So the 3 or 4 part series developed into 10 episodes, and still one to come. But it also spawned several other heavy-hitting op-ed pieces in the Thursday show as well. We started the year with From Russia with Love 1 and 2, and ended 8 episodes later at 8C. The impact of that series has gone far and wide and far deeper than people think. After From Russia with Love 1 and 2, President Putin issued an executive order for Russian children to learn Rus and the ancient language again. The increase in German listeners was marked once parts 3, 4 and 5 came out, as the series unburdened the German people of the guilt and shame program that has been ran on them since World War II. and I am pleased to see that has taken place, and now hope the Germanic people go on without that deliberate guilt programme echoed around the world in a giant Groundhog Day chant of 6 million. One was enough. But lying of how many died to garner reparation monies personally makes me sick, and I hope they go on to build a strong Germanic peoples, country and future. The series also exposed the Australian tribe for the error in the long past and the subsequent distorted history that came with it. But no living being should be held accountable for actions or inactions by their ancestors, and I'm pleased the modern tribes of Australia and New Zealand are making giant strides to correct former ills. It also exposed how all peoples were used, regardless of colour, creed, culture, or the divide and conquer programme known as religion. I know many of you are wishing for that to be made into a book, and maybe it is something to look into for the future, along with the THI ebook many of our members undertook to write and display this year. An epic book that covers many aspects of our shows and detailed personal input of several of our members. 300 plus pages packed with information and links, and if you haven't read it yet, you should do. It's in the files section of both MeWe and the Facebook pages and is free. Both those stories will provide the backbone of new learning and a new understanding of life and actions that too few are aware of on this planet. With the new understanding from that series, it will help overcome racism and anti-this or anti-that, because the core of that series is all of us have been played, fooled, used and abused on a massive scale by greed and dark-based entities, humans or otherwise. Their reign over us on all levels of society plunged dramatically this year, setting the stage for a new decade and 2020 vision. More will see, and you will see more, with a strong possibility of something extraordinary taking place in this coming decade. Now, my first guest due to come on and get some plaudits from you all has been with me since September 2013 as a steadying and quieter version of our admins team, where he prefers to observe and interact when the time is right, but like all our admins, he doesn't miss much. He was loyal through the bumpy ride of Cosmic Voice and through THI as well. Now, unfortunately, he couldn't make it today due to some illness in his family, but I feel it's important people recognise him for his efforts in our group. His name is James Godbeer. Thanks, James. Now, we're going to bring our first guest on now. And I'm hoping you will all give her some plaudits. And like James, she's been with me since September 2013 as a trusted and steady admin member of our team. And she's also one of the directors of the People's Club, and has been a loyal and hard-working member of our THI team going all the way back to Cosmic Voice. Now, thankfully, she's on the right time zone today, and so she will be on shortly. Her name is Holly Hakes Peterson, and this is her song. Hi all, and welcome back. Sorry about the open mic. Right, we're going to bring Holly on now. Hi Holly, and happy Christmas to you. How are you? So, we've been admin a long time, haven't we? Okay, that's okay. It's live. It happens. Can you still hear me? Right, okay. So, how has admin been this year? Been a bit tough. I guess we are bothering certain people quite a bit. Yeah, well, do you think you would still be doing the admin for CV or THI 6 years later? Well, it's near 6.5 now. Hang on a minute. We're going to go back because there's been an issue on the Skype. No surprise there. Right. Hi, Holly. We'll start again.
Okay.
There we are. Live radio. This is what happens. There was a break on Skype. Right. So we'll start again. So admin this year has been a bit tough, hasn't it? I guess we're bothering them quite a bit.
Apparently so. I don't understand it. You know, we're nice people. We're fun. What's the problem?
Yeah. Well, did you expect to still be an admin 6.25 years later?
No way. Amazing. But
Yeah.
I do have to say that adminning for THI is, although we've had our ups and downs, it's been so markedly different from Cosmic Voice. The members are just, really amazing, and I'd have to say that they are much more learned and caring and real than what we dealt with in Cosmic Voice.
Yes, we've, between us, because you and James have been with us since the start, we tried to engineer like a community or family spirit. I think that pretty much is the way it's played out.
Yes, definitely.
You know, it's kind of tough. We all know there's many still going through it, where it's a bit lonely in this so-called conspiracy. Well, there are no more conspiracies, particularly with our show, because
Right.
we've unearthed many of them. But, you know, there's still a majority of people who won't accept the narrative or the truth or reality.
Yeah.
And it was important between you, James, and I, and of course we had a new admin for the first time this year,
Yes.
that we set the example, so to speak.
Right. Well, over the past year, like I said, we've had our ups and downs. Ramona and I have dealt, as most people know, with, a lot of havoc with the state and country groups, and that's been not a fun thing and disappointing in some ways. But on the other hand, there are other state and country groups that are stepping up and are doing well, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And I would be remiss if I didn't address the members a little bit more. thank you guys, for stepping up. Thank you for reaching out to others and helping each other. You can't believe how much easier it makes my life as an admin, and how proud I am that you guys get it and you're doing it. You're reaching out and acting in the right way. All the members are dear, and I do have certain ones that I have talked to more than others. And a special thank you to those of you who have reached out to me over the years, whether it was just to wave hello or, reach out on a personal level or reach out for help. You all mean the world to me, and I'm grateful to know you.
Thank you. It's been quite a year, as many will be reminded in the up-and-coming end-of-year review shows, which is the first two parts.
Understated as usual by you.
Just a tiny bit, yeah. So we'll be having parts 1 and 2 this Saturday and Sunday. There'll probably be evening shows, or I might switch them round, one afternoon and one evening, we'll see. But what has stood out for you this year with the shows or THI or anything in particular?
Okay. Well, of course, I have been greatly amused, and it's provided a lot of fun between you and I and a lot of the members, the whole tiny man and irrelevant group thing that the Bubba group came up with. That's been really fun.
Yes, we've had a number of humorous comments, and there'll be more later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's provided quite an outlet, kind of like politicians do for comedians. They're always great for pulling humor for us. So.
Yeah, the gift that keeps giving. That's why I said THI is not just for Christmas.
Exactly.
I think
another thing that stuck out for me was I loved when you said on a show a while back about the banker saying, "You do realize we are effed."
Yeah. That was in the Federal Reserve meeting.
Yeah.
They're slow learners, as we know.
That was a memorable one. And also that no one knows how to do a manual transaction.
Yes, that was
incredible.
That was the same group. Oops.
Of course, the classic. I think the classic one for me was Rothschild saying that the RV was a carrot for jackasses.
Yeah. Oh dear, that was. There's been a plethora of shots heard around the world, mainly done by Kim and the team, and a tiny contribution from me. And,
yeah.
And but that one really was a stab below the belt for their own people. And of course, Kim, the minute Kim goes on the phone, the world listens. Certainly, the hierarchy do anyway.
Right.
And I think he kind of one of those things where I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, open mouth, insert both feet, right?
Yeah, well, all reptile claws.
So another big one for me over the year was, of course, the Kim's system. Hysterical and just makes me so happy. That couldn't have been planned any better.
Yeah, well, yet again, the same clowns, carrots for jackass clowns.
I think they had no idea how much comedy we were going to get from them, right?
Well, we've had some comedy. Some of the songs that were left on their fried computers will live long in the memory. You know, Kim's got like my wicked sense of humour, and we left them some gems this year. But we'd already heard from Anna von Nazi about they were rolling out of a new quantum system out of Wright-Patterson, and they were making out it was the system. And so then, of course, Kim, which we'll discuss later, practically rewrote the whole code of banking again, and did a whole heap of other things to the banking system. And then, of course, the new software went on and launched the new system, a new system, which they started taking credit for, because that's what they do. So that's when the system name got changed. Of course, the Manor World Holding Trust name got changed this year as well.
Right.
Because that had other connotations to other certain clans. And so there, she just let them know, remember the name. This is the name of the system.
It was unbelievable. It was great.
So you want to take credit for it, but this is Kim's. Go ahead, make my day.
There you go, exactly.
And they made our day quite a lot this year. And yes, there's a lot of flack and nonsense and unpleasantness, but their propensity for failure causes us to have a lot of humour as well.
Nobody does failure better than them.
No, and particularly the RV people.
Oh yeah.
They are levels of stupidity that's not even been created yet. But you personally have done much to help people on the page.
Just before you go into that, I just want to say one more thing there. Actually, two more things.
Okay.
The other thing that really stuck out this year was the whole black hole being removed. I think that was huge.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said,
and then
in
the last
opening,
thing is I want to say a special thank you to Ramona for her tireless and valuable efforts, not only with the state and country groups, but in general admin duties too. She has become a real treasure to me, and I'm so grateful that she's on board with us.
Yes, I agree. You've done much to help people on the page, but also a lot privately over the two shows as Holly the Chaos Coach, and the importance of shadow and inner work has really come to the fore now. Do you not feel?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we warned about it in May of 2015. Seems like an age ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But the warning was for this time. You know, we spoke about things speeding up, shall we say. We spoke about the masks and the two worlds.
Right.
I think from your perspective, is that the way you're seeing it now?
Yeah, it was disappointing at the beginning of last year with my coaching. I even tried dropping the price drastically and even giving it away for free. And I ended up closing my shop, so to speak, because I found that people don't want to do that inner work. They will do anything and everything to keep from doing that inner work. And it's sad, but it's also been a really good lesson for me, and I have to learn to honor other people's paths, whether I agree with it or not. It's their choice.
Yeah.
People were refusing, or for some reason couldn't see their own part in things. They wanted to blame other people. They wanted a magic pill. And it just got to the point where this is a waste of my time. So I got out of that and have spent the last or half of the year anyway, more focused on THI and the People's Club and so forth, which I think is a better use of my time. It was very sad, but again, it's their choice. So,
well, you can only help people who are prepared to help themselves.
Right.
Otherwise it becomes, I think you'll remember it quite clearly because it did kind of trigger you at the time. It triggered many people. When I made the statement back in November of 17, it's too late to awaken and get ready the others.
Yeah.
The sleepers, as we call them.
Yeah. That was a struggle for me.
Yeah. It's a struggle for me saying it, but
oh yeah,
I like to be all inclusive, but
yeah.
if you reach a point where you need some people to go forward, and at that time we needed the way showers. You always have the pioneers that go forward ahead, and we have to wait for the others to catch up. They will follow when they're ready. It was getting to a point where they were harvesting too much of our energy.
Yeah.
Sucking the life force out of us when we're trying to help them and teach them the truth and what is real and what is not and what is illusion. That was the defining point for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, I didn't particularly like saying it, but...
Yeah, and nobody likes hearing it. And it, like I said, it was a struggle for me, even up until recently. I've gotten better with it, and I'm okay with it now. And I think that the main reason why is a direct result of my own work, not my own inner work and the coaching work, because I truly, truly believe you have to honor other people's paths. We see so much of that not happening, especially on Facebook, where everybody jumps down everybody's throats if they disagree with their political views or whatever. But everybody's entitled to their path and their beliefs and what have you, whether we agree with them or not. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's necessary.
Yeah, it's a case, one of the main complaints I get, apart from the stupid ones of lighter clicking and laughing too much and a few others, it's the main complaints I get is my stance on religion. And I'm fine with that, but you can agree to disagree. It's their choice what they choose to follow.
Yeah.
They can either follow themselves or an external entity.
Right. And I always thought it was so weird. People make such a big deal out of this disagreement with each other and everything, but if you put it in a common sense perspective, do any of us have anybody in our lives that we agree with absolutely everything they say and do?
No.
Of course not. So, why would we? It kind of goes back to the whole program of racial divide.
Yeah.
Same thing as I don't agree with them and they don't agree with me, so we have to hate each other. No. Who do you agree with about everything? Nobody.
Exactly.
So we have to find a way to be able to be okay with other people and their beliefs.
One of the things, privately anyway, that pleases me most about THI is that we've got people of all colours, all religions, all countries, various different so-called class-based backgrounds,
Right.
and they've all come together. I heard the story of one of the members in one state helping another member today, going out of their way to help another member who they've probably never even met. And
Right.
this is the essence of THI, is we're going back to the way it was when it was smaller communities and everyone in general looked after each other. It's a bit like the old tribal Native American tribal groups. Well, it's not just Native American, there was tribal groups all over the world. They all pulled together as one community. They all played a role in it, and they were all caring and sharing what they had. And that's whilst we did have issues with the THI state and country groups, there's a lot of them within those groups who have suddenly now met up, who would never meet under normal circumstances. There's several state and country groups now where they've all got together, Sweden being one of them, Ireland another, Oregon, and a number of others, Florida as well. That would never have happened without THI.
Right.
And the way we go about things. And so, I get a lot of plaudits, from the members, but people doing things together, regardless of me, pleases me more than most.
Yeah.
And it's rather humbling to me to watch it all grow, and it has grown.
Oh, yeah. And even those members, when I started out back in Universal Voice, remember that?
Yeah.
And then Cosmic Voice, and I still have some friends here who are members that I knew back then, and I know they would be able to validate how much our membership as a whole has evolved and grown and really stepped up, because it's just a world of difference.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we'll be hearing a bit about Cosmic Voice later. So, again, it was 3 or 4 years ago, the show spoke about masks coming down and the two worlds was mentioned. How is that affecting people now, and can you see what was forecast?
Yeah, I'm glad it was forecast, because I started watching for it right away, and I have seen it in my own life. It's changed the way that I frame my relationships with others, and that, well, always from the beginning there was only so much I could share with them before they'd cut me off or, roll their eyes or or whatever. But my relationships with most of my family and friends is quite different than it was at one time, and I believe that that's due to that. It's sad on one hand, but I have to keep focusing on the prize, if you will, and my whole reason for being here, which is the way forward and freedom for all.
Yeah. The masks coming down, I think there was some in our group who thought it was just going to be the clowns.
Mm-hmm.
But life and nature doesn't work that way. If you ask for the truth en masse, then that applies to everyone. I think that was quite a shock to some of our members, is that their own masks will become, everyone's mask is coming down. And if I was to pick one incident of the proof of masks coming down and people exposing themselves and exposing others, that comment from the Rothschilds that was character jackasses. Mm-hmm. That's an example of Rothschilds being himself, what they are. The mask came off.
Exactly.
And our members were given a heads up. If you don't, we've all wore masks to cover our own weaknesses and deficiencies and insecurities and whatnot. You know, they're not working anymore. In the new future, masks will not be required.
Yeah, I mean, even coming on and talking on the radio show is a mask dropping for me because I don't like to do it, but I'm doing it.
Good. I'm very glad to have you on. Right, final question before I bring the next guest on. What are your visions, ideals, or goals for the future, or what would you like to see unfold?
Well, I'm currently working on remembering what level I am at and how to successfully complete that. And I'm also working on communication and transportation as they will apply in the future. In other words, embracing my true humanity and my true human powers, so to speak.
Yeah.
I would love to be a part of the mystery schools, aside from learning at them, but also help to establish them and in any other way that I can aid that. And also be a part of helping children and adults in learning the truth so that we don't repeat the old system.
Yeah.
I think those two areas hold the most passion for me.
Sounds good to me. Thank you once again, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of all THI members who treasure you greatly. And thank you for your time. And
let me just add one other thing, could I?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say a big thank you to Kim and to you, Tommy. Kim, I love your very common sense and cut to the chase approach in dealing with the clowns and others. She's given me a lot of laughs, but a lot of aha moments and a lot of go get 'em.
She got it done.
Yes, I can't wait to someday meet her. I just love her, the way her mind works and her approach to things. And of course, you know how I feel about you. I'm deeply appreciative to both of you for your unbelievable, and pardon the word, but I can't come up with another one, sacrifices that you guys have given up so much of your lives and had to face incredible stuff on a daily basis, which I'm sure most of us know, but I treasure both of you.
Thank you.
Love you both.
Love you too. Thank you, Holly. And bye for now. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
Right. The next guest to come on, who was given us a large amount of his time and support, despite having his own group, is Alan from Circle of White Light. And I'm glad he's coming on today for some recognition from our members of the work that he's done and the support that he's given our group, particularly this year. I'm just going to see if he's ready. Oh, the joy of live radio. Maybe he's not switched on. I know. So, Alan's helped us tremendously with the THI country groups, and whilst also doing his own group. And we'll be speaking to Alan shortly when he finally tunes in. Oh, there he is now. you have to forgive me today. I ended up woke up Christmas morning with a heavy cold. Thankfully, it's improving. Where are we? Right, somehow that's blocked. Hi, Alan.
Hello, how are you doing? You alright?
Let me just check that we've got you online. Everyone hear them okay? I think they can. So how are you doing, Al?
Not too bad at all. Are we live at the moment?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We're out of the musical break. Okay. I was listening in there to Holly and having an earwig before you called me there. How are you doing? You alright?
I'm doing fine. I woke up yesterday with a bit of a heavy cold, but I'm feeling better today. So yes, everything's working okay, and so I'm glad that you came on, because I was just telling the members, you know, you've helped us a lot with the THI country groups, as well as your own country group, and also with the THI shows as well. So thank you for that from all our members.
That's okay, no problem.
So how's things for you?
Not too bad. I still have a bit of a sore throat, so if I pop in and out, I'll be pressing the button here, which mutes me while I have a cough. This virus that's going around over here in Europe anyway, it's probably over in the US as well. I've taken a lot of people out. I don't know what's in it, and it's affecting everybody differently. So I think I just had a mild dose, which is lucky, but my voice is still a bit rough. But hopefully should be okay by Sunday. But yeah, well, the end of the year, I mean, I'll be doing my end of the year review show on Sunday as well. And, you know, every year that I do I've been doing the end of year review show either on OIM or Circle of White Light Radio. It's my first end of year with Circle of White Light Radio.
Yeah.
And it's kind of looking back over the year. What did we achieve? What did we accomplish? What wins did we have? More so than the negatives. Let's look at the positives. And there's an awful lot of work done this year, especially on the THI front, in a positive way. The radio show, for people who are probably not aware, you know, Circle of White Light is a small portion of what goes on in the background.
Yeah.
And I suppose to clarify for people who are not familiar with the kind of history, Open Your Mind Radio was myself and Steve, as some of you might know, and we started that in June 2010. And little did we know, 9 years later, we would have been still running Open Your Mind Radio. And it was just getting to the stage we are running it every week for 9 years, and that's a hell of a commitment. And Steve had started his own show with his wife on the Thursday, and I just thought, you know what, it's maybe time that myself and Steve had a break. It's like bands, you know, taking a break, excuse me, from touring, and going off and doing their own projects, and then regrouping after a period of time. So it's not the end of OIM, it's a sabbatical, it's a break we're taking, and the universe will know when it's ready for that to come full circle and come back around. But Steve's getting on, and he's doing his show with his wife on Thursdays on People's Internet Radio, and he's doing a local community radio as well, which I've helped him out a little bit as well. Because people said, oh, have you, Steve, fallen out? No, we haven't fallen out. We're just doing our own projects, and we're just getting on with life and getting on with things. So, March this year was the end of March this year was when we said we'd take a break, and then in the back of my mind, for a number of years, I always had the idea of setting up a kind of spiritual, positive, focused radio show, but I never did anything about it because we are running Open Your Mind Radio. And Circle of White Light was the name of my my circle, my psychic development circle, when I lived in London, and obviously when I came back over here and I ran my own spiritual development circle. So I happened to have the domain Circle of White Light, so I said, well, there you go, I'm going to use that. And so then Circle of White Light Radio was born at the start of April this year, and that's it. I've been running that since April, really.
Yeah.
And the focus is really to focus on the positives, on the good stuff. But as you know, I've been kind of wearing 3 caps, because I'm wearing the OIM cap, I'm wearing the Circle of White Light cap, and I'm wearing the THI cap.
Yeah.
Because we got to know each other 4 years ago. This March 4 years ago is when we got to know each other.
Yeah.
And we, over the years, we got to know each other and have good chats and stuff like that. And THI, the whole idea, think different, need not grade, resonated with me in a big way. So the idea behind THI and to be involved with that, and the €1 idea, I mean, it's very simple. It's so simple, it's unreal. But we could help so many people if we had the money coming in to do it.
Yeah.
So basically, there you go. There's the 3 caps I'm wearing. So although the radio show is 2 hours on the Sunday live, it's a small portion of what goes on in the background, because it's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
Because, like Holly said, you have people emailing you, you have people want to phone you and talk with you. There's people that actually want to meet up for a coffee and have a chat with you. And that just, I don't mind that. If I have the time, I'm happy to do that. And I've met some great people, just chatting to them. And a few people would say, look, I can't talk to anybody else about this. I can't talk to my friends and family about this.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm talking to you about it, because they know that, what I know. So happy to help out, really.
Yes. The transition, of course, was similar to what happened 3.5 years ago from a duo, although yours was a lot easier than mine.
Yes.
Well, and into the lone role of THI, and then the lone role of Circle of White Light. But from what I can see, it's gone very well from my observation. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I'm quite happy how it went. To always have the ringman beside you, which was Steve, because when situations happen or there's technical problems, Steve could talk while I could run around trying to fix the problem. But when you're here on your own and you're trying to do the interview and focus on everything and do everything, because the studio is set up for 2 people. It's not set up for 1 person. So you have to have hands everywhere, and it's a bit like a duck on water. People see the duck swimming very smoothly, but underneath the legs are going 9 to a dozen,
Yeah.
And you're monitoring everything, and you're checking everything, and you're trying to check the chat room as well. And so what I decided to do was to bring guest co-hosts in every now and again, which is what I've been doing, and a bit of a female energy rather than a male energy. And so Siobhan has come in a few times. Siobhan Brady, she's a spiritual medium. And Mandy from THI Ireland has come in. And it's been brilliant. It's been a good energy, and we've had a great chat, and it's a bit of fun. Excuse me. So it's been interesting. It's been an interesting change. And like you with Cosmic Voice, I mean, we talked about this. When you were with Cosmic Voice, I did say to you, Thomas, go out on your own. Seriously, go out on your own, do your own show. And just, I won't go into the reasons why, you know why. But, I just said, go out and do your own show, go out on your own, and you did. And I'm glad to say, I'd like to think you haven't looked back since you've done that.
No, it was time. I'm quite happy. I've always been a leader type. It's kind of in my nature. But I've also always been happy playing behind the scenes as well, as long as the front person is doing the right thing. Because if they're not, that's when I get a bit tetchy, you know. But I actually prefer being behind the scenes, although, you know, doing my own show, I am the forefront, technically, the main link between THI and also the trust. But, you know, I like playing behind the scenes, as long as the lead role, which was Drake at the time, was doing the right thing, and it became more and more difficult, you know, as I came into myself a bit more and started putting some of the pieces out, and then the Future of Humanity and the Faction show, which went down well with the members, but perhaps not, didn't go down as well with the lead of the show.
Well, but I said to you, you know, and you and Drake were doing a show, and I would kind of fast forward to Drake, and I'd listen to you, because Drake kind of said things without saying things, and there was always kind of beating around the bush, and that just annoyed me. And I just said, no, I can't listen to that, and I never haven't listened to him since, and I used to always fast forward to you and listen to your bit, and that's why I said to you. But I think people have to realise that to go and, you know, set up a radio show and to be talking, I mean, I have guests on, so it's not too bad. I share, you know, the information and get the guests on, just ask a few questions. Where you're doing your show, you don't have guests on. Generally, you just do the whole show on your own.
Yeah.
So that's a lot harder to do. You know, so you need to have the content. I've been winging it for 9.5 years, and nobody's sussed it up yet. You know, so you know, because I just do the interview off the seat of my pants, and the guests will say, sometimes guests say, "Oh, what's the questions do you have? What do you want to talk about?" And I go, "Look, let's just do the interview and we'll run with it and see how we get on." Yeah. That's how it works. I've been doing that for, you know, in June 2020, it'll be 10 years on radio.
Wow, cool.
But 20 years of being awake and aware.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of doing it a while. But yeah, there's been a lot of challenges. The THI groups, sorting all them out, and being involved in that. Being involved in the THI business group, getting that organised, and then obviously running the People's Club over here, and doing projects over here with the People's Club, and doing donations, which we've started. Well, I started about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We did the first food run for the homeless, thanks to you, Thomas, and Circle of White Light listeners and the People's Club donations. And then just the last week, 2 people who were down on, they didn't have the money for heating oil, and over here in Ireland it gets cold. So the funds obviously went towards buying heating oil for 2 people. You know, now it's only 2 people. I'd love to buy heating oil for 1,000 people, but we don't have the funds. You know, you have to deal with what you have.
Yeah.
But for people, you know, who are donating to the listeners of Circle White Light Radio, and to the listeners of THI and the People's Club, and the people who donate, you know, maybe they don't realise how important it is, but they are shareholders in helping humanity. That's what they're doing. They are shareholders. Even if it's only $1 and €1, you are now a shareholder in helping humanity and helping people improve their lives. Because the food that was purchased, say, for the homeless people, they don't know who Circle White Light is, or THI, the People's Club. They don't care. They just know that when they turn up, they'll get food, and that will give them something in their stomach to eat. And that's brilliant. That's it. You know, we don't want any medals or accolades or anything like that. The fact that we've helped somebody and it's helped them in some way is enough for me.
Good stuff. So what has been the highlights for you this year?
Well, I've no hair, so no highlights for me there. You're talking about the bald bit, you know.
Yeah, yeah, we mentioned that earlier for those who have heard.
Yeah, exactly. The highlights of the year. I think I like the idea that the Circle of Light anyway is focusing more on the positives and getting more information from yourself regarding what's happening. That's very important. What you and Kim are doing, I mean, it's, you know, who'd want to do your job or Kim's job? Really, step forward if who wants to do your job or Kim's job. I don't think anybody would. You know, to be honest with you, I don't think anybody would. So fair play to you and Kim for what you're doing and what you have been doing. Because it is, I mean, that's quite serious. You know, I mean, running an alternative radio show and, okay, you get a bit of flack off people, that's accepted. You know, the lefties sometimes jump on the bandwagon. We've had our broadband cable here in the studio cut maliciously. Somebody came to the premises and cut the cable a few years ago.
Yeah. And
for whatever reason, now I know the show that we were going to do, well, we still did the show. Excuse me, but we were exposing some information, so that happened. Yeah. And obviously, yeah, you get your attacks off people as well, emails and all that kind of stuff. But the highlights for the year, more personal observations of energy and personal observations of people.
Yeah.
And because for me, I'm kind of big into the psychology anyway, of a background and that. And the one thing that I did post up, and people probably didn't see if you're not on the Facebook, is, or if you're not on the subscription list, is that my little red hen principle. And I think that really sums up people's attitudes. Excuse me for coughing.
Yes, the red hen's far better than the blue chicken.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And if everybody remembers the story, the little red hen in when you were in school, the little red hen asked all the farmyard animals to, could you help me collect the seed and plant the seed and bake the bread and all that, and everybody was, oh, I'm too busy. So the little red hen went off and did everything herself, made the bread, and when she came out and said, would anybody like a piece? Everybody said, yeah, we'll have a piece. And she said, well, you're not getting any, sod off, I'm going to have it all myself. And unfortunately, that's life and that's society, and people don't like using energy. Psychologically, we're predetermined or predestined to use the least path of resistance. Maybe it goes back to Neanderthal times. So you have to use energy. So I really admire people who actually take the energy and do things. So the little red hen principle was really to educate people about, are you one of these people that will sit back and let everybody else do it, like a follower, or are you going to be a THI person and be a leader and stand up and get involved and be a leader?
Yeah.
And that's what we want in THI. We don't want followers, we want leaders.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing quite a bit of that, of on-ground activism, shall we say, and help this year, a case of walking the walk. So can you tell our listeners a bit about that?
Is there anything in particular you have in mind?
Well, it's the homeless, and you've just mentioned one of the oil. There was a few others, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we did in the OAM, even before we knew THI, was we always said that if we had any extra money on donations, we'd help groups and stuff like that. So we were doing that in OAM before we even knew about Thomas and THI. But we carried it on because we felt that was the right thing to do. And obviously with being involved with THI Europe and speaking to the THI groups in Europe, meeting great people in Europe in different countries and having Skype calls with them, and you know, if there's any issues we can kind of try and sort them out. And with the homeless thing, one of the things that I don't want to do is just say, here's the money, go off and get food, bye.
Yeah.
I actively want to get involved in being part of the solution and going and getting the food. So what we do, myself and Mandy from THI Ireland join me, and we'd go down to the supermarket. and grab a few trolleys and go around the supermarket and actually help them buy the food and, you know, put it in the trolleys, take it out, go to the cash register, you know, we wanted to be part of that. But the one thing we did, what I did with OIM is that I actually went down to Dublin City on Friday night when all the homeless people were coming out for food, and I was there to be part of the team, helping the team. You know, seeing where the money goes, see where the food goes, and who's benefiting from it. Because these big charities, they're getting their CEOs earning 250k a year. I mean, it's ridiculous. Who's worth that amount of money?
Exactly.
So I want to see actively, you know, be involved. And it's not just about the money. I just want to say that as well. Sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's just helping somebody in some way, you know, that need help with something or want to do something. Or one of the things that I offer as well is if people want to learn how to do podcasting or do their own live radio show, I'm happy to teach them if you want to learn. And I have a lady.
It has a vibratory frequency basis to it of what you do. You know, sometimes people ask, how can I soul develop? Well, Alan's just told you. Helping others increases your own vibration. You know, we spent far too much time, in fact, large parts of our day, and people don't even recognise it half the time, being comparative and competitive. You know, we have to change that going forward, and getting out on the ground and speaking to people that you're helping. You can get feedback, and it brings an exchange of ideas, and it's also a way of advertising, not necessarily the radio shows, but they're like side issues. But the role model that we've set up, be it THI and Off Planet Radio and Circle of White Light and also OYM, this is a different and a new way to be.
Definitely. And the one thing about THI and a lot of the stuff that you talk about, Thomas, is that when people realise about energy and how it works, and you have to deal with your shadow side and all that, and when you apply that, you see people in a different light. And you can see their issues, and you can feel their energy and where they're sitting regarding what they have to do to raise their energy. You know, and more for me anyway, I'm more careful of where I go and what I do and who I meet. But if I know the person is a THI Circle of White Light listener, then I know their vibration is going to be higher than somebody who hasn't listened to any of the shows.
Yeah.
Because they would know a certain level of information. So I think what you're putting out there on your show and what you're telling people and educating people, and the little bit I do on my show from a psychological point of view, is all part of, again, doing the inner work, doing the shadow work, and then you become a bit peaceful in yourself. And when you see people, you get less judgmental because they're on a journey as well, and they're dealing with what they have to deal with, and that's where they're at the moment. And maybe next year they could be higher up. But by going out and just service to others with the right intent, I mean, I'm a bit like you, Thomas. I'm an engine room guy. I don't like putting myself out there, and that's why if people go to my Facebook, you won't see me, none of my photos out there. I just don't put myself out there because I'm not into the, you know, massaging the ego. Yeah. Where, you know, there are people in the alt media, every time there's a camera, they're jumping in front of it. I've no interest in that side of things. I'd rather be, and you know what, and it proves the point. I was at the Open Minds conference this year, and I was at the bar having a drink.
You're not going to tell us a joke about the Irishman who went to the bar, are you, know?
Well, he banged his head.
He won't pay, I know that.
And I was sitting out there. We have very long, short hands, long pockets. So I was sitting at the bar, and I just was talking to the barman, ordering a drink or something like that. And the woman next to me recognised me, not by my face, but by my voice, which I found interesting.
Good.
But yeah, and look, that's great. But as I say, I'm not one for putting myself out there with photos. I just feel that I can do a lot more in the engine room than I can do being up on deck where everybody can see it.
Yeah. One of the things I feel is the benefits of what you're doing with the what I would call on-ground activism and going out and meeting the people who are struggling, is it teaches you perspective, which I think some in the Western world need badly.
Definitely, it gives you humility.
Yeah.
And times are hard for everybody. Everybody's struggling. Money is tight. I'm no different. What I'd like to do, I'd like to do more of this, but because it's great and it gives you a good sense of satisfaction, helping others with the right intent. And I'd like to be able to do more of it, but I'm limited to obviously the funds that come in, because there are costs involved as well. But hopefully, as you say, even an orchard of 1,000 trees, the first tree has to be planted. Yeah. So hopefully this is a start, and it escalate in 2020.
Yes, here's hoping. Major progress has been made. Obviously, the funding hasn't come out, but towards the end of this show, the real work of what we do will become apparent. And it was important, I felt, that we built bases and platforms, because throwing money out into people who are used to, in the main, wasting it and greed, not need, is not going to solve the current issues. We have to do it in a different way. It's not a cliche. Think and act different is the way forward. The old way, on every single level, failed, whether it's business, whether it's religion, whether it's government, or whether it's social or the people. It all failed. We have to start again. Throwing money at an old problem with the old mindset of service to self will fail ultimately, because that is what the previous model. And so we have to do a 180 on that and create people, change the mindset of how they think, like I just mentioned, about gaining a perspective. If you've got the 5 basics in life, then you're living like a king compared to maybe 4 billion on this planet who don't have the 5 basics in life, what you would class as 5 basics. And that perspective needs to be wheeled out right across the Western world and so-called richer countries, is that there's so many others who don't have those basics that you have.
Yeah, no, totally. By the way, the audio changed there in Skype. I don't know whether they're fiddling around with Skype, your end or my end.
Probably.
It's gone a bit funny there, but I can hear you anyway. But no, totally agree. I mean, this is it. The 5 basics that we need. And that's what we need to kind of focus on, and that's the way forward. It's amazing. There's a lot of people out there. I always say that there's people out there that have a problem for every solution, and that's the thing. If you're looking for reasons not to do something rather than do something, then that's where your mindset is at, and you need to change your mindset.
Yeah.
Because again, people will err on the side of negative rather than positive, because negative takes less energy. So when you're asked to do something and it's got to do with helping somebody, if the first thing you think of is finding a way to get out of it, then you need to change your way of thinking. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to help everybody, because that's the other side. You can go, the pendulum can swing on the other side, and you're helping everybody and anybody, and you're not taking care of yourself. You put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put the oxygen mask on your kids. That's the old analogy. You have to do that. You have to take care of yourself in a non-selfish way.
Yeah.
But it's important that once you have that done, you can help others, because it does resonate. It's a vibration. It's an energy. It does resonate. And that karma energy comes back around. I call it the karma boomerang. You throw out negative energy comes back. You throw out positive positive energy comes back. And people say, well, I kind of don't believe in karma. And I normally say, well, I'll tell you what we do. Go down to the local Hell's Angel bar and get a pint and throw it in a Hell's Angel's face and see what happens. And then do it again, but this time just buy him a pint and say, there you go, mate, here's a pint for you. And see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, cause and effect, you know, that's the way it works.
So are you pleased at the progress of THI Ireland, and why?
Well, look, we have a great group of people in THI Ireland. We get together and we all swap stories. We, educate each other. I'm not, the leader, inverted commas. We're all leaders, and we just get together as a group. And we've already had a meet up, which is brilliant. So we'll organise another one for maybe next year. I think it'd be good if we organise another one. And but we have regular Zoom calls, and sometimes, it's just general chit chat. Nothing in particular. We might just talk about things that are going on, because like-minded people, you'll find a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't speak to my friends and family because they don't understand me." So they enjoy coming on the Zoom call, and we enjoy just throwing the information around. So I would recommend other THI groups get together, at least once a month, and just have a Zoom call and just talk to each other. And one of the things we're looking at doing, and we said we'd throw it around there, was to come up with a kind of a basic idea that we can all work on. Now, distance, obviously, we're not living beside each other, so whatever idea we come up with in a basic way, maybe it's something that we can all get involved in. So we're just throwing ideas out there, just trying to throw things around. But I think, let's see what happens in 2012. There's a lot of talk about 2012 and the changes taking place in 2012 in a positive way. So fingers crossed. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, but not in 2012, 2020.
You know what? That's the second time, 2020.
You're not going loop on us, Alan, are you?
I'll tell you something. That's the second time I've done that. I don't know what it is with 2012. I was doing one show, Circle of White Light, and I actually said 2012. And one of the people on the chat said, it's not 2012, it's 2020. And I went, where am I getting this 2012 from? I hope that, is there an 8-year loop or something happening? I don't know.
No, I think you've been taking lessons off Holly. She just, Holly has her own time zone. Right, final thing before we bring the next guest on. What would you like to see, or what are your hopes or visions for next year?
I'd like to do more. I'd like to do more. As I say, the radio show is only kind of a small part, although it takes up a bit of time. I'm still doing admin for OAM, and obviously with THI, doing a bit of THI. I'd like to do more People's Club, basically just helping people out. It'd be fantastic to have enough funds coming in to be able to do more of that. I mean, I'd like to be able to. The goal is, at least, to once a month be able to do something for a group or somebody, or maybe some people, to once a month, and then maybe if we got to the stage where we can do twice a month and gradually build it up bit by bit.
Absolutely.
That would be brilliant to be able to do that and help more people out, because remember, what we're doing, the Need Not Greed and the €1 a month, is a new concept for a lot of people. So they need proof, because there's a lot of naysayers out there who'll say, oh, that's not going to work, that's not going to work. And that's why I post it up on Facebook. It's not because I want a pat on the back or anything like that. It's purely to show people it's working. This is what's happening. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then they're going, okay, so maybe that will work, because this guy's doing it already.
Yeah, of course it will. We learn to look after ourselves. Yes. The reality is we're all owed millions of dollars or euros, various, due to various funds, etc.
Yeah.
But what use will that be we're just going to waste it, you know. There's lots of things that need, because of the damage done by the Dark and their so-called Elite minions. We have a lot of reparation to do, and bringing people up to scratch, even, you know. And I look forward, hopefully next year, alongside you and Randy and many others, of pushing this planet forward into what it was meant to be and what it was.
Well, this is it. We need more people on board to join in and to be part of it. And just a big thank you again to yourself and Kim for the sacrifices that you're making and you have made over the years. I think that's I think what you're doing is I don't think you should give yourself a pat on the back. And Kim, I know you don't do it very often, but I think you should do, because most people, I'd say most people wouldn't take your role in what you're doing. So I think a pat on the back for you and Kim and everybody else who's involved, but mainly yourself and Kim, because you guys are on the front line, and we're just kind of the people behind you. You're in the trenches, we're in the trenches, but probably just behind you somewhere, you know, a few 100 feet in the back somewhere. You're right up the front, and but we need everybody. I mean, I was at the new Star Wars movie today, doing a family run, and the one message that came out of the Star Wars movie is that a group of people, a group of rebels, can make a difference.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We all need to do. We all need to step up. Yeah. We all need to step up, and we all need to be leaders, not followers. And we all need to put our money where our mouth is and say, right, I want to help out. I want to make a difference to humanity. And we all need to do that.
Right. Thanks for that, Alan. And look forward to what's happening next year, and doing some more shows with you and working a lot closer.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks to everybody. Have a great New Year's, and looking forward to 2020. Excuse me, sorry for the coughing. I'll just die quietly now when I go off mic.
Yeah.
I'll get over this cough. I'll tell you, it's hanging on a while. Okay, listen, take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And as I say, sorry for the coughing. Cheers, Thomas. Thanks for having me on. And hello to Andy and Kim. And I'll be tuning in later. I'll be hanging around. I'll have a listen. But take care.
Thank you. Bye, Alan.
Bye-bye.
Right. Where are we going next? We're going to... THI added a new admin for the first time since THI started. And it's a far more difficult role than most people recognise. And the few we added in Cosmic Voice never lasted too long for varying reasons. But I felt with the pages expanding and the introduction of the THI state and country groups, we would need another admin. And so after careful selection, we chose and then offered to one of our members that particular position. Now, she jumped at it and took to it like a duck to water, in what I consider has been a bit of a baptism of fire, given all the fun and games both in and outside our group. And her name is Ramona. This is her song. She'll be with us shortly. Hi all, and welcome back to this post-Christmas special. And I'm pleased to have on Ramona in what will be her first Christmas special show with us, and welcome her as a big member of our team. And hi Ramona.
Hi Thomas. Hi everyone.
So you've had quite a, if you don't mind me saying, quite a baptism of fire as an THI admin. So
Yeah.
what have you enjoyed about being an admin, and what haven't you enjoyed?
That's definitely grown on fire. What I have enjoyed, yeah, on fire is true. My biggest takeaway was on this fast track, which is it's a fast track. I've been put on this fast track willingly. I enjoyed it very much. was the ability to reach out to so many people across the world. I felt as if I was doing my world travel, which is something I've always wanted to do. So I did world travel by being involved with all the countries and being able to speak with all the people, even though it's electronic, being able to touch those lives, being able to help them, all the fun and games that they've put us through, all the different ways of contacting them. That has been the most expansive journey, is being able to touch all those lives, in some cases, massage some hearts who were hurting, hold hands, observe the skullduggery going on, and just stay grounded through all of it. That has been a huge, huge experience, and definitely baptism by fire, because it forces you to be in a different place in your mind to be able to handle that. So I can only imagine what you and Kim go through. This is nothing compared to what you guys go through. So it definitely is a little peek into being able to appreciate what you both do on a daily basis.
Yes, you've had an increase of awareness and consciousness and vibration yourself this year. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, one of the things that I had to be psychologically prepared for, I just from observing what you do on a daily basis and having not been behind the scenes prior, but just from watching what you do on the front side, I figured, okay, I have to psychologically prepare myself to do this. And that was the big setup for me, is to psychologically prepare myself. I'm not sure what to expect, but bring it, I'm ready. I think I'm comfortable in my own skin, so I'm able to shift and play that movement game as energy slow. So that was important for me, to be able to do that, to just stay grounded, prepare myself psychologically, and stand in my own essence of self-love. Because that was important, because people will pull you apart. They will pull you here, they will pull you there. Everybody's wanting different things at different times. I was tested. The group tested me. They tested me hard. And that was okay, because it forced me to stay grounded. It forced me to reach into myself and trust my intuition more. What this journey taught me was to trust my intuition, trust the energy that I'm reading from whomever it's coming from. And there were times things were different. I'm seeing things that look a certain way, and my intuition is saying, nope, that's not what it is. I don't care what anybody's saying or what anybody's writing. Trust your intuition. That was the biggest takeaway for me, I've learned how to trust my intuition so much more, and it's sharpened my intuition so much more. And so this is what I see we all need to do, is trust ourselves more, trust our intuition more, that it doesn't matter what things look like on the outside, what is being represented. Trust the journey, trust the process, trust your intuition. It doesn't lie. The intuition does not lie.
No, it doesn't. Although, if you haven't, we discussed about gaining the inner sword. The left and right brain hemispheres fighting each other does tend to disrupt intuition at times. But once you've mastered that exercise, the intuition flows a lot quicker and heavier and more profound, does it not?
Yes, it absolutely does. And I joke about it, and I've told some of the people who reach out to me every once in a while. I said, I had this plant, the olive plant. I kept hearing, get an olive plant, get an olive plant. Well, why am I getting an olive plant? I don't want an olive plant. And so I got the olive plant. I found the olive plant, and I hear plants. Plants talk to me, and I do communicate with plants and animals. And so I kept hearing, you need a sword. I don't need a sword. Who is saying I need a sword? And that went on for a while, and whenever I would go to water the plants, I would hear, you're Joan of Arc. And I'm not Joan of Arc. She died. She got murdered. And finally, one day I just said, okay, what is this about? And what I heard through the meditation was, it wasn't about Joan of Arc per se. It was about standing in your power. It was about trusting yourself to get this thing done that you've agreed to go this journey with the admin group. Get your sword because you will need it, not to hurt anyone, but to stand in your power and be prepared to fight and defend whenever it's needed. And so I embrace that, and that's what the olive leaf is. When I write things and I put the olive leaf next to it, that's what it is. I come in peace. I'm not here to fight you. I'm not your enemy. We're nobody's enemy. We're here to usher in peace and love. And so that's what that olive branch means, is I come in peace. And so embracing that helped me to stay grounded. It's been a huge experience that plants can talk to you and teach you things if you're willing to listen to them.
Yes.
So that was, that was a little nugget that I carried. And I joke about the story with others, but it's kept me grounded. That little piece of information kept me grounded, holding that sword internally, that I am prepared to do whatever it takes to defend this path that we're on. I am totally prepared, and I'm not afraid.
Good stuff. Now, you prepared a piece. Do you want to read that out now?
Yeah. Well, before I get to that, I wanted to thank you and, the admin team for trusting me, for having the confidence in me to undertake this journey. I could not have even imagined what this would have been like, but it's exciting, and I was willing to learn. I opened myself to it, and I said, whatever it is, bring it. I'm willing to learn. And I'd like to thank all the other people. The people from time to time would send me messages. How are you doing? Are you holding up? And I'd like to say thank you to them as well, because they're there. It's always nice to know that there are people on the sidelines keeping an eye on you, willing to chat with you from time to time. I also wanted to, in a sense, thank those who have left us. Rest in peace, those ones who have left us along the way. Their contribution, came to an end. They had their lessons maybe. And so from that, I think we are tasked with carrying forward and continuing on to ensure that we continue to build a better world for everyone. So, those were just some points that I wanted to make. I did write a poem for this particular situation, this talk, because what I've observed for the entire time, well, not just this time of my being admin, although it brought this to the fore all the much more, because it tested me. Where I live in this space of love. It's how I see myself. So, but it tested me when clowns and crazy people and skullduggery and all the nonsense and whoever shows up pushing on us, pushing on me, or whatever the situation is, whether it's in THI or outside, on the outside world. Wherever people showed up, what it felt for me was a test. It was a test. Oh, so you say you live in the space of love? Try this. Can you love this person? They're being a total nitwit. Can you still love this person? Can you accept them? Can you love them however they show up? And so what I've learned, what I sat down and evaluated was throughout all our lives, whether it's on television or movies or shows or pets or, Dear Abby kinds of narrative blogs, everything. I put all of this together and observed how we all love or not love. How do we do what we do, this thing called love? And the wounds that have come out of this thing we call love. And how we give love a bad name, some of us. And the song that you played from time to time, How Do You Love? The lyrics are pretty deep. They're deep, meaningful lyrics, and it helped me to think and put all of this into context and observe throughout not just my life, but throughout all the last decades, I guess, of my life on this planet. Observe other people's stories. How did this person do this? How did that person do that? How did all of this come out, and how did they respond to it afterwards? Do we get mad? I don't love you anymore. We'll start into a war, or we'll get grumpy, or whatever the case may be. So pulling all of this information together, I sat down and I sort of had a download of this poem that I wrote for this particular time. So I will read that poem now. And what I'd like the listeners to keep in mind, it's from the heart that we see rightly, and that's from the book, The Little Prince. And it says, it is only in the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes. And so as I go through the poem, I'd like for each person to think about their own personal journey of love. That's all we ever have is pleasure or pain. It's either pleasure or pain. And so when we look at love, how we do love or don't do love, where in life has love brought you pleasure, and where do you think it has brought you pain, and how did you interpret that? So I will say, go into the poem now. Love will break you hard wide open and bring you to your knees. It will walk with you life's journey till you heal in grace and ease. Love will break you so wide open, it may even make you cry. You may want to beg for mercy, whilst in tears be asking why. Love will break you real wide open. It keep you up at night. It will hold you in its bosom in times of fight or flight. Love will break you deep wide open, gently showing you who's forth, and lovingly remind you that you're never, ever lost. Love will break you, yes, wide open, and bring forth gnarly path. You'll have to face your demons, and from that there is no rest. Love will break you down, wide open, and put you through a test, to look upon your cosmic mirror as to find your inner best. Love will break you up, wide open, then restore your woeful longing. It's always waiting there within you on your journey of becoming. Love will break you way wide open, yet also make you whole. If you give it just a nano chance, it will fill your empty bowl. The ongoing mental gyration to fix everything in sight will make love break you so wide open to tell you that ain't right. It will call you home to hold you, to heal your broken wing. It will call you home to hold you, which fixes everything. And I'd like to add that in my observation, what we have not tried thus far on this journey we call life is authentic love. Love fixes everything in how I understand it, because once you begin to authentically love from your heart center, when you show love, this is what I've experienced, when you show love to someone, unconditional love in a healthy way, it changes your perception of how things are or should be, and it's an empowerment tool that inspires you to want to do more, because that's what has happened to me in a big way in this window of time with this being an admin, is it pushed me, it provided me the impetus to do more. It didn't matter. Whatever you showed up with, I'm willing to do more because I'm not afraid of you. I can do this because I can stand in my own power. I can stand in my own space and not be afraid of what you show up with. I can handle it. So that's why I say love pretty much fixes everything, because it's not about what's on the outside. It's what about what's going on the inside.
Absolutely. Is there more to that poem?
Oh no, that was it. That was the end
No.
of that. But I wanted people to, to ponder on that.
Yeah.
In that, look at where you are in that journey, because this is how, from my observation, love has been in this thread of all the different narratives that I've observed, whether it's in television or in books, and you have magazines telling you how to go steal somebody's other significant other, and I mean, it's just giving everything a really bad name. But I wanted people to think about, how do you show up in your own love story?
Yeah.
How do you love? How do you shine your own love light? I know I post a lot of things about love, because pretty much that really is where I do live. I feel it deeply. I trigger easily in terms of crying. I cry easily when I hear love stories, happy stories, sad stories. I'm sensitive that way. So you can talk about things, wonderful things, and I'll start pouring, and I'll turn into a puddle because I'm feeling it so deeply. And yet, at the same time, I will pull out that sword, and I will stand in solid ground if someone shows up acting really silly. For me, this is the flexibility that I would like to see everyone have, is not to be afraid to show love, not to be afraid to express love, and yet at the same time be strong and grounded in yourself, and not be afraid to stand up and say, oh, no, you're not going to show up here and do that.
Yes.
This is pretty much where I would like to see people gravitate, move to that. Because we all have different love wounds, and that's we've all been hurt in all different manner of ways since childhood. So we have to bring our love game to the front. But before we can do that, we have to heal that place inside of us. And that's what this poem is about. It's how do you love? Where do you live in that thing that energy we call love? How do you do it? And how do you heal your wounds so that you can shine? Because that's what being an admin for this period of time has allowed me to do, is to really step forward and shine and bring to the table what lives inside of me. This is the opportunity you guys gave me, was to bring forth my learning, which I didn't really expect. It sort of broke me open. This whole journey broke me open to my love language. And, okay, how do you do this? Where inside of you? So you say you live in this place called love? Okay, let's test you. And so I was tested. And I think I did a pretty good job. I stood up.
You did a
what
fantastic
I believe
job.
in. Well, thank you. Thank you. You all were very supportive, thanks to Holly and you. You were very, and James throwing in his jokes at me every once in a while, which I thought was the sweetest thing. I think to myself, oh my God, I got James to make a joke. I don't believe this. James made a joke, and he's been wonderful, because James is always seen as the very stoic, serious one. And so for him to open up and make jokes, and I thought, oh, I have arrived. James laughed. He made a joke. So you guys were super in terms of coaching me and being supportive of me and being there for me and holding my hand and saying, we got your back. Don't worry about it. And like, yeah, and I got my sword. Don't worry about it. So, and I'm not afraid to use it. And he say, show up here talking nonsense. I will use that sword, Thomas. I really will use that sword.
Yes, we've
I'm not afraid
seen
to
it.
use that sword.
No. It's been a pleasure to have you on board. It seems, I think it's only 8 months, 7 or 8 months. It seems longer. Before we go into the next part, your final say on perhaps hopes you would like to see, or visions you'd like to see, or goals you would like to attain.
One of my biggest goals, and it's not about, well, let's not talk about what it's not, let's talk about what it is. My biggest goal is to see not just the THI group, but humanity in general, which is a lofty goal, come to a place where they can feel safe within their own skin, where they can recognize their own worth, where they can understand what self-love is, where they can understand what healthy self-love is. Because I really do believe to the core of me that until and unless we are able to recognize our own self-worth, we will have a challenge with anything we try to do on the outside. And I know shadow work and inner work are heavy-duty hot topics, and I'm hearing it everywhere. But it needs to be done, and we have to go inside and heal those inner child wounds from that are sitting there for heaven knows how long, and do the shadow work in order to cleanse the area and begin to love ourselves. Because unless we love ourselves, it's really difficult to see loving anyone else. You know, we speak love, we sing love, we dance love, we talk love, but we don't really love from that heart space, that heart-centeredness, that the essence of who we are. Because when we see who we are and we love who we are, it's so much easier to see that in other people, regardless of how they're behaving. When you're able to see the love, the essence of someone, regardless of how they are behaving, then there's something happens. Something happens in that mix where you're not tolerating them, but you can walk the journey and try to help them. And this is my big vision for humanity. It has nothing to do with money at all. It has everything to do with spirituality and getting in touch with who we are on the inside first before we can expect to be successful on the outside. Because unless we get in touch with charity begins at home, unless we get in touch with the inner side, we will have to really we'll be pushing water uphill. So that's my vision for going forward to 2020. And I will be happy to step forward and, help to channel some of that into the pathway where people just find an easier way to do shadow work. I wish that people would find an easier way to do shadow work so they can find themselves.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for all your help, not only as an admin, because you have done other roles and helping people. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the members. Thanks for that poem too.
Thank you. And I want to say thanks to you and to Kim for creating this platform upon which to build this new foundation. Because it's really very exciting have that opportunity to be here at this point in time. We are all very, very blessed to be here at this point in time. So thank you both.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the show. We're going to have a bit of fun now.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right, where are we next? Right, we're going to have a little bit of fun now, as promised. And before this tiny man, as it's called, started our tiny show called THINY, I was involved in another show previously you may have heard of. It's called Cosmic Voice, which was going along swimmingly until now our famous truth hammers started popping up at a too regular pace, shall we say. And that caused some to get twitchy pants, and they decided to have a meeting and not only oust me but also the admins also. And a clandestine meeting that had all the hallmarks of Langley 2, that involved David Wilcock, Drake, Neil Keenan and his alcoholic lap buddy Dean Chambers, along with Corey Good and Robert David Steele in the background to that meeting. And they decided to boot me from Cosmic Voice. And so a new chapter began, and THI was rolled out, and here we are just over 3.5 years later, and much has changed for the better, and I think most will agree with that. Now, for new members who are not aware, the above just stated was not a joke. Yes, all of those above names just mentioned did arrange that meeting in early May 2016 and threw me off the show. Anyway, to show there's no hard feelings, I decided to invite Drakey Cakes onto our Christmas special show, but he said he was busy delivering the ET packages, with it being Christmas and all, and a pre-record was arranged, and that will follow after this song selected by Drakey Cakes. Hi all, and welcome back. Santa Claus is coming to town. So we were going to do a pre-recording as Drakey Cakes was busy delivering ET packages. But as usual, the 2 weeks delivery of ET packages foretold never happened. So here he is, live under special dispensation from the L2 crew, and we're glad to have him on. Well, or is it? Well, it's that time of the year again, and so I want to say hi to Drakey Cakes.
Well, I see you're still contradicting my contradictions there, Tammy. You keep spitting out these things called truth hammers. Jeez, your show. What are you doing to me? I'm trying to keep my listeners happy with my MK Ultra speed reading tactics. Jeez.
Well, it is what it is, Drakey Cakes. So, let me ask you, how has your year gone?
Well, you know, I've carried on, keeping everybody on their toes with my two-week program, and Grammy J, she's keeping me on her toes with her broomstick. I near shot her last time when I caught her stealing my winter apples. Jeez.
Perhaps she thinks she is Eve in the Garden of Drakey Cakes.
Ah, there you go again, Tommy, contradicting my contradiction. You see, I'm the star of my own show now. I can do whatever I want. I'm Zeus, goddammit. Ha! I can go creak my door, you know, go out to pee in the Garden of Drakey Cakes now. Without some lesser mortals, you know, on my show. I don't know if you know who they are, saying, Drake, stop peeing. Mute your mic. I'm Zeus. I pee where I want. You hear that? Oh, yeah. Drakey Cakes, spreading love forever.
Are you calling me a lesser mortal?
Yes, you, Tommy. I'm calling you a lesser mortal. You never followed my script, always going off telling my listeners all that true stuff. Ha! Lighter clicking, laughing too much, gulping water. Yeah, my members want to hear about Vietnam and pee in the Garden of TSD.
Are you saying you have an STD? I hear that can be quite painful, Drake.
No, Tommy. PTSD. When I pee, it comes out super tremendous Drakey Cakes. P tremendous super Drakey Cakes. PTSD. Yeah, that's what that's short for. But you know that, Tommy. And you left us and missed my Hermetic Golden Dawn Crowley mind control, teachings. Hey.
But that's not true. I left as a Drakey Cakes, just like the cat that fell in the toilet said. I was pushed.
Well, there you go again, contradicting my contradictions. Without old Drakey Cakes here, you'd be as relevant as Dean Chambers. But you backstabbed me, Tommy. You backstabbed me. And I had to let you go.
Well, that's not exactly true, is it, Drakey Cakes? You're kind of using mirror magic reversal spellcasts again, aren't you?
Oh, here we go. Spellcasting, Tommy. Is that a fishing technique? Me and my moonshine buddies go hunting for squirrels, not fishing, Tommy. You see, if you had stayed around with the mighty Zeus, you might have learned something. Ha! But you resigned.
Yeah, resigned, spelled F-I-R-E-D.
Well, you wouldn't stay in my weight club anyway, Tommy.
Yes, we've all heard about the weight club, and I hear that Corey Good is one of your heaviest members of the weight club.
Well, his wife says she likes him that way. She needs something to sink her $6 million teeth into. You know what I mean? Little cushion for the pushing.
So I hear you got dropped by Kent Dunn and Muggsy. That's quite an embarrassment that the great Juice dropped from the Kent Dunn Nothing and Channeling show.
Kent Dunn. Done F all. Was contradicting my contradictions, Tommy. Just like you. And that Muggsy, jeez, she's a thief. She stole one of my E.T. packages and probed herself up her channeling passage, Tommy. You're done.
Ooh, that sounds as painful, or nearly as painful, as listening to one of your shows.
Well, I'll have you know, Tommy, my shows are tuned with special frequencies.
What? Farting, belching, and coughing up phlegm frequencies.
No, Tommy, special Drakey cake frequencies. Made out of Agent Orange. I got it all the way from Vietnam.
I bet that was hard.
Yeah, that's what Grammy J said last night as she flew over the house whilst I was peeing outside in the garden of Drakey cakes.
So what about Ken Dunn, or Kent Dunn, Ethel? You kind of skipped over that question, and you sounded like Lacey now, known as NASA, never a straight answer. And it kind of reminds me of being back on the CV show a bit.
Oh, Kent Dunn, Tommy. What has Kent done? Done. Not like me, Tommy. I get her done. Get her done. Kent's done nothing like you, Tommy. He couldn't handle my special Zeus powers and frequencies. Well.
Okay, whatever. So, how is David will cock you?
David will cock you. He won't be cocking me, Tommy. Who do you think I am? One of them alphabet, elemental, PQ, whatever groups?
Funny you should mention alphabet groups, but never mind. Has David called you at all?
Well, come to think of it, Tommy, you might have been right for once, which doesn't happen very often. David hasn't called me since you backstabbed me and left the show.
And why do you think that is? Do you think he might have been replaced with Nefertiti with the elongated skull?
Yeah, well, yeah, I met Nefertiti way back when I was a boy in Vietnam. I came out, I said, come here, Queenie. I want to get her done with you.
But Nefertiti was from Egypt, Tracy Cakes, not Vietnam.
Well, now hold on a minute there, Tommy. You see, you're contradicting my contradictions again, God damn it. There's a lot of phlegm in the throat there. Yeah, what are you going to do? This is why I can't have you on my show no more. You know, be quiet when Zeus is speaking to you. You might learn something. That's right. Shut up when I'm talking.
Have you managed to listen to my Must Listen To shows series, Drakey Cakes?
Well, you've been stealing my ideas again, Tommy. I didn't really want to have this conversation. I started that series off and gave you the idea with my Must Listen To shows. You're worse than David Wilcock and Corey for stealing my material. God damn it.
Yeah. What about our From Russia with Love series? Have you listened to that yet?
Jesus. Russia, Tommy. Are you colluding with Russia now? They're all commies, Tommy. Hey, Tiny Tommy. We beat them, Tommy, in their global cooling war.
Don't you mean the Cold War?
Here we go. Contradicting my contradictions again. Jesus Christ.
But the From Russia with Love series has been groundbreaking, and I hear full of facts and truths about our history, including lies about Russia and how they were the cradle and epoch of civilization.
What? Facts and truths? Jesus, again, Tommy? I taught you all that. No, Tommy, Russians aren't the cradle of whatever long word you said there. It's America. Tommy, we founded everything. We're the greatest country and the bestest in everything. Don't you know that? Jesus!
But the Vatican agent Columbus only founded it 600 years ago. Russia and the Ers and the Rus story in my show went back 110,000 years. The Rus were here before the Americans.
Damn it, Tommy. I met Columbus when I was a boy. Yeah, that's right. I taught him to sail and navigate by the stars. Those Russians are just a bunch of vodka-drinking commie-tommies. We're America.
But those Russians brought food and aid to America during the war in the 1800s. Wasn't that nice of them?
No, Tommy, they're sneaky. They came to interfere with our elections again.
Okay, it's like flogging a dead horse. I'll change the subject. I hear you may be having Sasha as a Rolling Stone on your show.
Yeah. I gotta swallow my water. Yeah, Mick Jagger's coming on as well. Yeah, see what you missed, Tommy? By not being on Drakey Cake's show? Yeah, I taught them both, you know. Yeah. It was my evening at Drakey Cake's show. I don't even remember what I'm saying. Yeah, my evening with Drakey Cake's show. You remember that, Tommy?
Actually, that is my show. It's called An Evening with Thomas.
Here we go again. Confusing the confusion and contradicting my contradictions.
So, Drakey Cakes, do you have an apology for Holly, finally?
What? Why would I apologize for putting her on my tree? It was Christmas.
But you fired her in May.
May, Tommy. Maybe Holly doesn't know what time of the day or year it was. Can't blame me for that, Tommy. Holly has her own time zone. You know that. Jeez.
Well, you kind of have a point there, Drakey Cakes, and it's the first right answer you've given all night. Still, even a broken clock is right twice a day. What about Chloe and James?
Well, they're Kardashians, Tommy. They're getting more popular than my show, even.
No, I'm not talking about Chloe Kardashian. I'm talking about your other admins.
Admins? Is that when my show runs over by a few minutes?
No, the people who spent years looking after your page for free, Drakey Cakes.
Well, they got my special Zeus teaching, Tommy. Only for me, they'd still be in their time loops.
I hear Tanaf has become a politician now. Anything you want to say about that?
Well, that's another thing you left me in the lurch with. You know how Drakey Cakes was a little bit scared to talk to her. No wonder she's called a goddamn dragon spicy one, that one. Jesus.
Indeed. And it's nice that we actually agree on something. Now, speaking of dragons, have you heard from the porn and gambling internet page lady recently?
Who?
Lady Dragon.
Oh! Yeah. Don't know how she got on my show. I think she was a Chinese commie spy brought back from Vietnam. She was seeking asylum, so I put her on the Nut House on my show. Yeah.
So you brought in an immigrant, but I thought that was illegal.
Yes, an illegal immigrant, Tommy. Pay attention. My secret secret squirrel intel buddies arranged all that from Virginia, don't you know? Langley, as it was. It was a student exchange program. You can put that in your next show with some intel, okay?
All right, okay, thanks for that. We don't get much intel on our show.
Yeah.
So, Langley, is that the name of a Chinese faction like Holy Fuck? Oh, and by the way, do you still speak to Denise?
I don't have any Denise. I only have the nephews.
Denise Red now, what I meant.
Huh. Denise is red now? Well, what color was she before, Tommy? It's just like you're still in CV. You never told me anything. Thinking you're on the Great Zeus group. Jeez.
This is like platinum custard. Okay,
Platinum custard. General Custard. I knew him when I was a boy, too. Yeah.
So I hear you got an award from the National Speed Reading Association, or NSA for short. How did that go?
Oh, well, I've forgotten about that. I guess I get awards all the time, Tommy. And you would have had loads if you had stayed with my show and the great Drakey cakes. Yeah, Tommy, jeez. Acting all important with your truck lady, running off with tanks. I had loads of tanks under my command in Vietnam. Ha!
Oh dear, here we go again and talking about Vietnam. That was over 50 years ago, Drakey Cakes. Corey's been back and forward to Mars 2.5 times since then, and he still hasn't lost any weight in your weight club.
Mars? Ha! I'm Zeus. I compete at Mars. I travel the stars, Tommy. And I'm there and back in 2 weeks. Ha ha! Get her done.
2 weeks. You've been saying 2 weeks since March 2012 with the Will Cockyu interview.
Well, Tommy, you and your dates and your facts and your memory recall always contradicting my contradictions. Ha ha! Yeah, I was telling that in the chat with Neil 2 weeks ago.
But people have told me Neil died 3 years ago, Drake, and someone replaced him with someone that was 10 years older and 30 pounds heavier. I guess he is in your weight club as well.
Tommy. I have the intel like that on my show. Now, I spoke with him. I was speaking with him through my fridge. Yeah. With this new secret technology, you don't need a dictaphone anymore. I think Neil was in my fridge, Tommy.
Yes, Neil's been in everyone's fridge given his girth. And perhaps he needs some of Michelle's weight scales made in Langley, as it only tells you half of the details.
Huh.
Perhaps. Well, Drakey Cakes, how do you see things panning out in 2020?
2020? It's still 1967 in Vietnam. 2020? Are you a time traveler or something, Tommy? I need to teach you something. Since you learned nothing since you left my show high and dry, jeez. Where's all that? Left my... Oh, jeez. Well, anyway, now where's my script? I'm going to sing you a little ditty. I mean, a titty, Tommy. A ditty, Tommy. Don't be getting your titties in a mangle now. Here goes. I hope you're all paying attention now. I've been working on the RV all the live long day. I've been working on the RV to give ET packages away.
Get it then. Okay, Drakey Cakes, this is called the David Rea Masturbator of Puppets. So Take it away, Drakey Cakes. We'll be back. Hi all and welcome back. That was Drakey Cakes singing Master of Puppets. Now before we went into that musical break, Drakey Cakes starting things again. And he's always starting things. And I'm inquiring as I'm wondering, have you been taking lessons from Michelle Hanksack? Or have you been reading her book called How to Start Things, and then casually act like you're walking along a river bank in Egypt, and then go into denial?
Well, I've been getting secret tips from an undercover chiropractor in a jar of Vaseline, you know. It's just dip things into the jar and then they slip out, Tommy. Yeah, that's what my show is way ahead of yours. Yeah, all my secret intel everywhere. The things that jar could tell me would make your hair curl just like my beard.
Interesting. But the problem is, does it tell you facts, or is it like the Bubba Group and just makes shit up?
No, Tommy. It tells me all the juicy bits, like who started it. It's a Drakey Cakes confession box, don't you know?
Well, perhaps you can try your confession box on that Bubba Group. I'm certain you would reveal some juicy revelations from that ensemble of what they say is massive, mammoth, gigantic, and enormous.
Well, I can't do that, Tommy. Some of those people are in my large, very big, and enormous group called CV. Yeah. We only have upstanding members within our group, as you know. That's why we got rid of you and all your contradicting contradictions. All of the time with it.
Well, some would argue I was an integral part of CV, and your show has lost a bit of luster since we were booted.
Yeah, see, there you go again, Tommy. Contradicting my contradictions. You left us and backstabbed me. How much did you pay that Allen guy to say he fast-forwarded through Drakey's part? Jeez.
But didn't you just say you got rid of me?
No. See, Tommy, you're putting words in my mouth again. You know, I may start to make sense for once. I'm Zeus, goddammit.
Okay, so what did Father Christmas bring you this year, Drakey Cakes?
Father Christmas? Well, I am Father Christmas. I bought myself a new chiropractor and a case of Vaseline. As the other one's worn out, you know what I mean, Tommy? Michelle knows what I mean, don't you, little girl? Get her done.
Oh, you got it done then, did you? Okay.
Well, don't say that out loud. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Oh, God.
Yeah, she was seduced by your seduction wagon. I get that. Okay. There they go again, spitting out truths again, contradicting the contradictions. So have you delivered your ET humanitarian packages, or are you keeping them to yourself?
Geez, where was I here? What was that question again? I was thinking of something else, Tommy.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so, Michelle, she's feisty.
Yeah. So have you delivered your ET packages, or are you keeping them to yourself?
No, well, maybe not yet. Maybe in 2 weeks, Tommy. I don't know.
Cool. So in a fortnight then.
Tommy, I think that you need to get your hearing tested. I said 2 weeks, not a fortnight. What's this, a video game? I think you're getting a little pack-tarded over there. Pack-tard.
Okay, there you have it, folks. Drakey Cakes is delivering the ET packages, and what a great start to the new year for us all that will be.
Yeah, Tommy, old Drakey Takes told you it would be 2 weeks. I sent Anna Von Rice the deluxe version. It's called the L2 model, made in Virginia, for virgins. Virgins for short, but not for long. Get it?
Yeah. So did you send Robert David Steele one of them as well?
Who? I never heard of him, but everyone knows old Drakey Takes. Well, I guess I got to be going now, Tommy. I've given enough information, enough of my non-Holly time and wisdom to your tiny little show.
Okay, well, we'll wrap up well, old man. It's Lee Canop season, and I don't want things getting stiff in the cold, although I guess it could be a benefit for one particular appendage, which may reawaken if that's the criteria, and saves you buying the blue pills to last 4 hours.
4 hours, Tommy? Can't do that, Tommy. That's like half of your... excuse me. A little indigestion from Christmas. That's like half of your MeWe chat members. I need a granny nap before then. Jeez. Ellen, Stephanie, Myra, Catherine, all the granny nappers. Tommy, I'm Zeus. I see everything.
Anything you want to say or ask any questions before you go?
Well, there you go again, trying to recreate the CV show in reverse.
Not really. I don't do Q&A that much anymore. But away you go, old man. I thought you were Zeus and knew everything, but I'm looking forward to some of your questions. But just don't speed read them.
Well, I got a few thousand questions for you, Tommy, and let me go through them right now. How can I align my chakras to make me a better human being and to convey my spirit with the oneness of the universe? Do you know?
Okay, let's just mute him there for a bit. Let's just mute him for a bit there, and people wonder why I have no time for questions. The point is I've given all or many of the answers in previous shows, but then Drake was never one to listen, was he? Sometimes I wonder, do people think I'm entitled to some downtime or a life, and I not have to answer a plethora of questions every time I turn on my computer. Oh, let's see if he's got any better.
So all that stuff about Bubba and all those questions he keeps bringing up, how come you always push that to the side and never really answer any of his stupidity there, Tommy? And another thing, I want to know, how exactly do you have all the information that you got from that Nicholas Shovel-Lefter? What was his name? Shovel-Left. Shovel-Off?
Let's mute him again. Slow down. A bit so I can answer none of your questions. Okay, let's put him on mute again. Oh dear, it's speed reading question time again. I'm going to have to turn him off permanently shortly, as I feel like I'm looping back in time and bashing my forehead again. Let's check to see if he's finished.
That's what I was getting to. I just want to know where all that Levashov material came from. Did you dig it up from underneath one of the Egyptian foots of the Sphinx there? Or, what about Corey Good? And how come you keep discrediting these blue chickens? Them blue chickens are pretty tasty. I say, like Colonel says, finger licking good. Yeah, get her done.
Oh dear. It's just like old timers again. Now I have a forehead pain from headbutting the desk, just like in TV. He probably didn't realise I'm still on the show. You'll remember how he loved to interrupt. And now it's my turn for some payback. Drakey Cakes, are you still there, dumbass? Where are we?
Geez, I even got to make the sound effects. Well, Tommy, I thought you left me again, so old Drakey Cakes is in the garden of Drakey Cakes. And you all know what happens next, Tommy. I forgot to get up and go to the bathroom. I just peed my pants. Is that all right?
I would say bad blood at this point, but Kim and the team took him out.
No, Tommy. Only Zeus can do that. And you know who Zeus is.
But I was there, and you were definitely not observed in the vicinity.
Contradicting my contradictions again and taking credit for all my works, Tommy. Jeez, I was there. I'm Zeus. I'm invisible.
All right, okay. You started it, Tracy Cakes.
No, Tommy, Michelle started it. She always starts it. It's my copy and paste crew. Confirmed it. Ha ha!
So you are behind the copy and paste group and Bubba team then. So the truth is finally coming out.
Well, no, that was Dean and Neil. They're always telling me what to do.
Indeed. Well, I think we've had enough of the speed reading chatter and THI members. Despite you selling them out, would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and look forward to hearing 26 times more 2 weeks in the coming year.
Well, I hope y'all been paying attention now when the mighty Zeus is addressing you. You too, Tommy. And look forward to my personally delivering the ET humanitarian packages to all the members of THI who backstabbed me. Yeah, you see, I'm Zeus. I bring great gifts. And for everybody, Merry Kiss My Ass. Yeah!
Yes, special gifts. Special kind of being the operative word there. Well, I must end this call. I have the rest of the show to do and would like to get a word in edgeways without being interrupted. So once again, thanks, Straky Cakes, and seeing you next year. Final say?
Yeah, final say. Interrupting your interruption. Yeah, get her done. I mean, get her done. Get her done. Done, done, done. Bye, all. It's time for a MeWe style granny nap.
We'll be back shortly. That was copy and paste me. THI offers many things and brings many skill sets to the table, as you've heard some. Glenn and Emma and many others. Most have become obvious over time in the shows. But we also are secret investigators, routing out the square pegs in the round holes, people. I think Fisher-Price has one of those sets also. Now and again, we do investigations into certain alt media and elements of the alt media, but this particular group excelled in their own levels of large and massive scales of incompetence, so we decided to investigate their group. Now, due to the lack of fraud fighting skills exhibited by this certain supposed fraud fighters group, our tiny esteemed group decided to do our own investigations and found some serious flaws and oversights of the said fraud fighters group. Now, perhaps this group would be better served doing some actual investigations into the alt media instead of just trashing people with no foundation. Or perhaps they could get a life instead of living it through the tiny man. You see, the Fisher-Price spy kits only get you so far. That set comes complete with fake FBI badges, which is insufficient to garner the real evidence. So we'll help them out a bit. This is a group that celebrates the fact that the dark clowns are blocking us from releasing the trust funds that belongs to you all. This group doesn't want the life force energy returned to the people it belongs to. The Trust has endeavoured to improve 489 aspects of life on this planet, and this group wants to continue the harvesting of us. Now, this group started out with claims I was going to be arrested before last Christmas, claiming I was a fraud and a scammer. But as the year went on, when the fraud and scamming claims fizzled out, and after we had exposed they have at least 3 members who rightly did wear those labels, they then used new labels, like calling me Tiny, Techo, Cultist, That term was used against THI after THI exposed they had a cult member in their own group. Next was our shows are all copy and paste. When their whole group exists on copying and pasting our MeWe chat, incapable of a coherent thought or sentences of their own, you see. Next, I was smoking cigars. A lot. Ooh, national security incident. Man smokes lots of cigars. Then after I exposed one of their group as an alcoholic, they labelled me a heavy whiskey drinker. That caused mass hilarity to those who know me closely, as I don't or hardly drink. But why let facts get in the way when the children like to play make-believe simulation games? Next, they went on to call me a pedo due to a connection to and with Randy Morgan's, and he also received a raft of fake allegations this year, none of which held up. This was after THI exposed their leader as being involved in pedophilia. Then I was in Hillary Clinton's circle along with Randy. No, that was your leader again. Now it is I am a racist and white supremacist. As you can see, they're not very original, and they just like to copy the great Tiny Man, a racist and white supremacist who selected a black administrator for our group. Another person they called all kinds of names this year, but I guess that's not racist. In the Fisher-Price Book of Life series. A group that asked for transparency from me but plays hide and seek with their fake names. I guess they don't do or understand irony too well either. Irony is a sense of humour, not something you get the creases out of your shirt, by the way. If the fact is they don't do anything too well is not lost on our members. Not content of their large, massive and bigam inferiority complex over me, they then launched a foul-mouthed, crude and false claims tirade against our admins, Kim, Randy and Alan also. And when their fake claims faltered and flailed against those, their childlike demeanours further extended to other members of our group, Brandon, Lee, Glenn and Michelle, calling them all kinds of denigrating names, all under the auspices of the Black Sun. Now, given it's Christmas time, we decided to call them the 12+1 disciples of the copy and paste crew. They tried hard to look and act important, but are actually impotent. They made a raft of promises to their cult following of how Thomas was this, that and the other, all of which failed as regular as the RV. And how I was going to be arrested by their Fisher-Price spy kits by last Christmas. And when that failed and no proof was forthcoming, they launched into let's make stuff up and we will all celebrate how great our gigantic, massive group of 56 members are, some of which are duplicate names to fill out their massive, extensive and large group. To keep the illusion going, their group was expanding, another large connotation they like it seems. They were doing duplicate names to fill out their group. And this and their group kind of resembles the 12 Days of Christmas song, with 5 varying Eckarts, 4 Larry Largers, 3 Barry Biggins, 2 Madeleys, and 2 Reuben de Cloyts, as well as one as a pudding, and a virgin in his mum's house, whilst trying to deny any connections to their pedo leader. Now, since writing that, it has now increased to 3 Melodies. I guess their numbers are falling faster than Stormy Daniels' knickers. Maine Coon, Madeline Neatane, and now have advertising her witch's coven Mystic Mountain. We heard tales of how the tiny man would buckle under their large and big and superior copy and pasting techniques. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whilst Tiny Man and Tiny Group profited heavily from the promotions of our group. Oops. tales of how they were going to close down my Patreon and disrupt it has led to a 50% increase in my Patreon subscriptions this year. Oh dear, that'll bruise their large egos. So, Holly and Lee, get ready. You can post it now. Team Bubba got an extra special gift from Santa this year, courtesy of the People's Club donations. And I'll ask Holly and Lee to post that on Facebook and MeWe now. And no, it's not the ET packages from Drakey Cakes either. So, during our investigations of this particular group, and here is a small sample of what we found, and also our knowledge base of these 12 plus 1 disciples of copying and pasting, better known as the Hide and Seek Voyeurs Club. Now, Disciple 1, the leader of the group, is being investigated for pedophilia and child trafficking on servers operating out of Lithuania. Lives in Mama's basement and jacks off all day to porn, some of it underage, as I understand it. The rest of the group go to great lengths to deny connections to their leader, but because they couldn't handle some tiny amount of banter on the chat, they ran to the leader to complain, and the leader immediately sent us his usual childlike emails of how he's connected to the FBI. Yes, the failed Bubba idiots version. Their leader likes to say drip, drip, drip a lot. I think that is his incontinence problem through excessive jacking off. We think they doth protest and deny connections to pedo leader too much and are complicit in child porn and trafficking. The leader is also responsible for a plethora of fraud-based schemes involving stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars off innocent people or demanding $100,000 for removing his fake and fraudulent investigation claims against innocent people. Accusing others of doing what he did is a common agency-based theme these days. Disciples 2 and 3. These two are Siamese twins, and they were separated at birth with a hatchet. You'll recognise them with their large-sounding names, and yet they are so large, they say, they still won't face the tiny man because of the fear of him. They also like to hide behind fake names because, quote, if we out ourselves, Thomas will come after us, unquote. Ooh, the tiny man is scary, it seems. Disciples 1, 2 and 3 were offered to come on our show and air their issues, yet despite being mouthy, having ego-based monikers, refused to come on the tiny man's show because he might say boo to them. I guess large and biggin are references to their levels of cowardice. Disciple 4. You have an alcoholic who is unable to look after himself and, more importantly, his own child, and is in danger of losing her due to his lack of parental skills. Spends time talking to the undercover Turk who sold out her fellow Mimi members, who was offered financial help from myself and the People's Club while stabbing us in the back. Disciple 5. Oh dear. Disciple 5. Then you have a cult counsellor who not only runs her own cult, but a dark witchcraft-based one, who has been accused by several of her former cultists and also by the pedo and child trafficker Disciple 1 that she's only interested in herself and the money, which is sometimes acquired under false pretenses, whereby she makes lies up that she's seriously ill or homeless for monetary gain. She also demands $6,000 off people or threatens to throw them out of her cult. She spends time splitting up other people's relationships because hers failed in 4 marriages and other casual relationships. Last seen doing GoFundMe because she's homeless again, except she's not. Only 7 mugs gave her money, and not one of them was from the Bubba group. Very telling. She's living off the back of some disabled people in Plains, Montana currently. She's also restricted in travel, as the last time she crossed the Montana border into Wyoming with her coven friends, she was arrested and jailed for several outstanding bench warrants related to unpaid fines pertaining to one of her many marital issues. This person likes to use several people, including the not very bright Australian, and write scripts out for her to read out to her 50 or so Jesper the Rapist followers. Recently witnessed stating she wanted to dark spellcast not only on me, but all THI members to keep her dark minions operating on this planet. Still operating her spellcast simulation, who according to her is all over the planet except where she lives, perhaps suggesting that it is she who is the simulation. This lady also promoted a post both celebrating and taunting the tragic death of Kim's younger brother, aided and abetted by the Happy Clapping Performance Seals. Previously stated on a show with another Dark Programme member, she was responsible for creating the fractal virus that caused the dark fall throughout this universe and was affecting the universal tree. Her words, not mine. Recently also witnessed trying to get the authorities to close down the People's Club Fund, which is designated to go to good causes. It seems these people are not interested in good causes for the people. Revealed in her own words via reverse psychology of her connections to the Order of Black Sun, likes to go into basements with the stage and the pulpit a lot, dressed all in black lace, spewing forth her dark connotations and word magic spells. Has memory loss issues also, as conveniently she forgets that me personally and also the People's Club helped her out financially, as that doesn't fit their script of I'm Mr. Nasty. You know, I must be the only scammer who gives their alleged scamming money to help other people. It's a strange scammer, that. Disciple 5 is a known program member and works for the CIA, which she gloriously revealed in a recent madcap rant. In the Disney sense, she is not but a mouse, but she is the embodiment of the Disney written Mickey in the mirror. Quite a list, and there is much more on her. Evil personified, a walking shadow demon, casting darkness wherever she goes. Next year will not be pleasant for her, as she doesn't know when to quit. And despite that list and her actions towards me, I requested she be given help from above following Saturday's show. One hopes she accepts that help before it's too late, as she goes darker and darker by the day. One day it will reach the point of no return. Disciple 6. We have a man who told us he has 6 hearts. Yes, you heard that correct. Is a walk-in and is from Zeta Reticuli. I kid you not. Has a penchant for hacking other people's computers. Also spent years living in Mama's basement, causing her no end of grief, until she threw him out in the end. Last heard roaming the woods in Indiana and forming the ugliest couple website with his partner in grime. Spends his time now denying he was connected to Drake or Keenan, despite working for money with the Keenan team, alongside the drug-dealing mayor and the boatman. Partner 7, the partner in grime. Tried to look at me, I'm an important admin, and spent most of the day dragging other people apart on private messages and disrupting a former group. Didn't like anyone with common sense or better than her, which was everyone. After roaming the woods with the man with 6 hearts, neither of which worked, was last seen in the road with nettles in it, fitting as she is as thorny as they come. Also spent time denying she was connected to Drake and Keenan, something I don't, something I apologise for and explained on my first THI show, but Loop people want to keep it in the now despite their supporting roles of him. Disciple 8. Then we have another who rents out properties in Europe but rents them out in such poor condition, several complaints about the property riddled with mould and bedding that reeks of damp, despite several complaints from guests, and yet does nothing about it. Clearly she cares nothing for the paying guests. She is also linked with the Enki family man who demanded $100 trillion from the trust for his Anunnaki family land, and yet unsurprisingly stated last week THI members are only here for handouts, accusing others of what they're doing again. Disciple 9. Then we have a Ukrainian, perhaps she's related to the Bidens, who is another program member and also worked as a spy, manages to flit in and out of America, currently hiding out in Mexico despite never working, is close Facebook friends with a known pedophile separate from the group leader, is closely attached to her handler and another program member, Org Tellers. I guess the fraud fighters' investigations are a bit lax in investigating this person and appear to let anyone in their group. Disciples 10 and 11, a mobile home couple, better known as NASA, never a straight answer. That was her method, or perhaps it was meth OD, who pleads poverty and wrangles funds under false pretenses off people out of our group, and they were part of several internet marketing scams, claims to have been a manager of a top market corporation, yet posts pictures of herself in her underwear on a business page. They, like Six, Hartman and the Ukrainian spy, are a couple who appear to be work shy, now trying to convince our members to invest in their non-existent pot farm, and I thought it would be a meth lab. I guess I am wrong sometimes. Disciple 12. We have another who claims he is Enki, and also that he is Lucifer. He is a demon and he runs and operates a demon realm. Claims to have up to 6 children with various ET entities including robots. Has regular visits from ET who drills holes in his head. Various implants. Has sexual relations with various ETs in his bedroom. Quite an extensive list of claims, though I'm sure you will agree. This person, though, did get an award this year for the biggest traitor and snake award, after he claimed personally to me that I'd done more to help him personally than his own father just 12 months ago. A person who was work shy until I helped and encouraged him to get a job. So I went from the biggest help in his life to what was it he said, leave Tanaf out of the Thomas scamming scheme. Yes, the same Tanaf I saved him from after she was attacking him verbally and astrally. And yet he jumped ship with an alcoholic and the walk-in Zeta 6 Heartman. 42 years of age, still a virgin, and lives with Mama, who tells him he has to turn off his computer and go to bed at 11 p.m. every night. 42 years of age, and Mama still telling them what to do. Common theme that, it seems, in this group lives with Mama. The +1, although the size of her suggests it's plus XXL range, which puts her above Barry and Larry in the largest category. She was a failed comedian who was arrested for doing illegal drugs, spent her career whacked out on weed, telling crude jokes that only she thought was funny. Last seen dressed up in a clown-type outfit on her blog page and writing articles called My Life in Jumbo's Clown Room. There they go again with a reference to oversized things. I guess the article she was writing, My Life in Jumbo's Clown Room, is about Team Bubba. She has fantasies about Randy Morgan's, likes to repeat his name a lot. Maybe she is bitter because he rejected her. Connected to a radio host who is a known NSA and CIA agent, operating under the cult of raw programming with a radio show name called The Truth Cat Radio. The other 40 or so are largely based on more fake names, duplicates of the 12+1 disciples, or people mired in their own shit to face themselves. They are known as the Peanut and Happy Clappers Gallery. That, my friends, is the wonderful world of Team Bubba, a cult group so obsessed about me and our group, they called their own cult THI. But it does bring us lots of attention and diverts members to our group. Oops. A cult which contains a pedo, a child trafficker, a scammer, a demon, a walk-in, a cultist, a witch, a spy, and an alcoholic, and a bunch of work-shy, never-do-anythings, who won't look in the mirror at themselves, although disciples 6 and 7 can't look in mirrors as they break all of theirs just glancing into them. Racked with bitterness, abject envy of the tiny man, and wasted a whole year of their lives just focusing on tiny me. I guess I'm so important that I should be called the 1 in 7 billion man. I'm honoured that they hold me in such high esteem that to them I am the most important man on the planet, such is the reverence and time these people focus on tiny me. A nice attempt to seduce me into the unbalanced ego, the 6th hook, because like all their claims, the other 5 failed on me, and hook 6 will also. I will carry on in my own humble way, clearing up the mess with like-minded service to other people that Disciple 5 and their Dark Minions Brigade have created. So we wish them all a massive, ginormous, gigantic, jumbo, extra large, massive again and big 'em happy Christmas, and I hope Santa brought them the new deluxe model of the Fisher-Price spy kits designed for ages 3 to 6, a new copying machine because they wore the last one out, some clean keyboards and mice for the jack-off merchants, and a THI alarm clock set for 10:55 p.m. so Mummy doesn't have to warn Disciple 12. And maybe Michelle has an extra special Christmas present for them on the MeWe chat. So I guess they're not very good at fraud fighting. But then they don't appear to be good at anything except voyeurism and copying and pasting. They're specialists in that. At least they have some skills. Plus, they make us laugh a lot with their repeated attempts at failure. You know, anyone who pays that much attention is in complete denial of their attentions. They are in admiration of the tiny man and they just won't admit it. Envy is a terrible thing and leads to psychosis and delusional thinking. So I will leave the real FBI to investigate the fake FBI. It's almost 13 months now and counting, jackasses. Team Bubba is like Christmas every day, the gift that keeps giving. Thanks for the hilarious belly laughs you all gave us this year. There's nothing more funnier than watching people exhibit their special skills. By special, I mean yellow bus special. Although Disciple 1 may replace his yellow bus soon for a blue and white one. Hey David, The future is bright. The future for you is orange. You know, this whole episode could have been sorted 12 months ago had the 3 lead disciples were offered to come on our show and I would publicly address their issues. That is what you call being transparent. Predictably, they ran like the cowards they are, and also knowing that the tiny man would render their fake claims mute. It's all very sad, really. But this is what happens when you have no control of the self. You end up looking stupid, and they've excelled in that practice this year. We'll be back shortly. Yes, laughing at you, not with you. Whole year taking on the tiny man on spectacular failure. One hopes they listen closely to the ending message tonight and they embrace it and realise their folly. Neither Kim or I were their enemy. Their enemy was themselves, aligned with their dark element sidekicks. Events of next year will bring greater clarity, and one hopes they join the rest of humanity in helping, not failed attempts at hindering. Now the next guest that was supposed to come on is delayed or sidetracked, so maybe we'll have to have him on in the new year instead. But I'm going to mention the piece anyway because I think it's important. You know, he is a close and dear friend of mine, which is rare in the alt media radio show host field. And he's been at this game far longer than I, and is almost like the godfather of the alt media circuit, having covered many of the topics surrounding life, time and space with a deeper understanding than most of how this world and beyond operates or operated. A laid back and balanced stance on varying topics, all delivered with a soft but affirming style that demands attention and listening to on more than one base level or just one plane of existence. He has also been helping us this year with the THI state groups as well, what has been a difficult year for him in some ways on a personal and health level. But as always, he came back with a fighting spirit that endears him to so many people. That person is Randy Morgans. And THI would like to say thanks for his time and effort that has gone into this year, and hopefully we'll be able to get him on early next year. So thanks, Randy. Our final guest tonight really needs no introduction, and she will get it anyway. Hang on a minute. And hang on a minute. She really needs no introduction, but she's going to get it anyway. Our global trustee, Earth ambassador, an all-round nice person that has taught and inspired many people. A tireless and endless worker for and on behalf of humanity, who went from Kim taking on the impossible task to okay, I'm possible, spreading facts and truth around the world to varying heads of state, generals, presidents, prime ministers and clowns alike. People have no idea how draining it is just doing that, never mind all the other hats she has to wear. Their levels of stupidity and dick-swinging control-based narratives beggars belief if you ever listen to it. Their collective lack of knowledge of how things work on all levels has been an arduous task to deliver, but she and the team have made giant strides on many levels this year, giving lots of hope of change in this coming new decade. This year, with some help, she practically rewrote and delivered a whole new banking system that renders their old system mute. This has prevented much of the harvesting programs implemented within the banking system and now renders it transparent, to much chagrin from the harvesting thieves. I could spend a whole show on what else she and the team have done this year. A born fighter even when chaos ensues around her. Of that, there has been much this year, as more and more attempts were made to derail her and us. People have no idea, trust me, the working conditions, the restrictions and the fun and games that goes on an almost daily basis. And in the midst of all this, it is often forgotten with the incessant demands of when is the money coming. That Kim has a life to live and try to look after herself and her daughter also, the same as all of you. And something I do think people badly overlook and don't consider enough whilst we are doing this work. It's near 7 years for Kim now, with no pay for doing the trust work. And the reality is some of the work that it has been done can never be or put a price on. It's priceless and will only be recognised at a later date of the work done by Kim and the team that goes far beyond pieces of paper with numbers on them. But whilst clowns continue to play that they are in control of the illusion game, whilst all around them is collapsing, her and our work goes on. So a big THI welcome to the woman who is to hats as to what Imelda Marcus was to shoes. She wears so many. And I will say a special thank you and hi on behalf of all our members who repeatedly send their best and well wishes to Kim via emails, chats and comments. Hi Kim, and thanks from all the members. Yeah, it's been an extraordinary year and so much has been accomplished. Are you pleased with how things have played out this year? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The banking system got quite an overhaul, change this year. Can you explain a bit about that? Hang on. Okay. Right, we'll start again. We'll start that again. This Skype chimed in again. Right, we'll go back to what we were going to say. Hi Kim, it's been an extraordinary year and so much accomplished. Are you pleased with how things have played out this year?
Shocked, surprised, all the little pieces of the puzzle all coming together. Can everybody hear now?
Yes.
Still? No? Okay. Okay, there they are. Okay. No, I'm actually, there's been little pieces of the puzzle that we've put together throughout the year. Not just me, by the way. Thomas and I work quite a bit together. He'll never tell you that, but I'm going to tell you anyway. But we've put together all these little pieces of the puzzle. Certain things come up. We try to rectify it right away, follow instructions, listen to grievances from all places, right?
Yes.
And I'd say probably since August, September, everything's been steamrolling. And over the last couple of days, since about the 21st, it's culminating into all the work that we've done is kind of coming all together, and now it's all making sense. So I'm actually pretty excited for next year now. More and more every day that goes on. We have 2 more days left to this 7-day period, right?
Yes.
So the next 2 days might be interesting. Who knows?
Yes, it should be. So the banking system got quite an overall change this year. Can you explain a bit about that?
It did. We started out with creating a VTN, or a virtual trust network, which is like an extra secure version of a VPN. And as we needed something to replace the old VAX port system, which was implemented in 1978, I think it was, and was controlled by, let's just say, a group of people based in Virginia. And that went down, the VTN came up, and everybody's transactions were going through the VTN, but nobody wanted to acknowledge it, that it was there. Next, that ensued a big fight between myself and some people over there in Virginia. And then, of course, they were calling it the new quantum financial system, and this was going to implement the RV and so on and so forth. So we decided to add a bunch of new features to it. Took about a month, I think, month and a half, and launched the key integrated monetary system. And then we got the call saying, oh, this is the quantum system, and Langley created it, and all this stuff. And I said, really? I said, well, thank you for naming it after me. He said, what? I said, yeah, it's called KIM. See? Key Integrated Monetary System. Then after that, it was the launch of the Key Intelligence and Military System, which gives full intelligence data, has a very large mapping system. It's almost nearly impossible now to give false information to third-party entities, be them smaller countries. Anyone with an intelligence system of any sort has access now to KIM. And so when people show up to try to start their fake wars and their fake attacks and their fake financial systems and their fake this and fake that, now every intelligence agency in the world has access to all the same information and all the same mapping systems.
Yep. So it's transparent, completely transparent, like
it
the
is.
banking system now.
Well, and the KIM system also has what I call because as you have said on your show, the Fed controlled 148 countries' currency.
Yes.
And the issuance of it was actually more of a pass-through from the trust in the past, which is why they worship their bankers on all sides. So it has a lot of features in there. It tracks projects. It does all the analytics for you. It does your currency analytics. It does proper valuation of currencies. It has allocated asset bases, and then it has allocated funds for each individual. And don't get me wrong, it's not Nasara, but each individual person as to job creation, and also each individual government. So it's a very even system. It's very transparent. You can't fudge the numbers. You can't pull numbers out of a hat like the IMF used to, or still does. And there's none of this, where if you don't take our IMF loan, we're going to devalue your currency, which they've done a million times in many different countries, and we could list them here for hours. But yeah, it's an excellent system if you would like a transparent system that works for everybody, not just singular groups.
Absolutely. So, for those who are new to THI, is it true that the Trust has 6 seats at the UN?
The 6 seats currently being occupied by Rothschild, claiming that they funded the UN from the Lucifer Trust, still sitting as the steering committee, meeting every Saturday at some varying location, usually in New York. Yes, there are 6 seats that belong to actually the Trust, not Lucifer Trust, and not Rothschild. But yes, they're still attempting to steer the UN, the IMF, and the World Bank and all its ancillary organizations into, hence why we have Greta. Greta's actually from Rothschild's opposition, which is your Black Sun.
Oops. Well, recently we've had fake media claims of the Fed printing $500 billion and China's getting, I think it was $22 billion or more, and Trump allegedly signing off on a $1.4 trillion budget deal. Can you talk about those?
Well, as far as the Chinese government is concerned, they did receive a bunch of IMF and World Bank vouchers and then attempted to print RMB or Chinese yen against the vouchers, and the Kim system rejected it as an invalid asset because the bonds or vouchers or whatever you want to call them, which came from the IMF and the World Bank, both are considered bankrupt at this point. Therefore, it's not a valid asset to issue currency against. And it was rejected.
Good.
So they were sent a message, if they need valid assets to issue currency against, the Kim system would be happy to provide an allocation, and they didn't respond.
No, because they have no assets left. So there's obviously a lot of talk about the Fed doing another QE, and they were talking about printing $500 billion out, which, as we know, is false. Can you explain why?
Well, the Fed is, they're with us, they're not with us. They're with us, they're not with us. And the Fed is Rothschild's toy. So the two main groups playing a game against each other right now is the Black Sun and Rothschild. And so the Fed is Rothschild's toy. So once Rothschild gets wind that the Fed is going to take money from Trust, which they always did, but just because my name's not Rothschild, they don't want that anymore. They pull back. As far as the $500 billion, last I heard from the Fed, they were the SDR, which is an IMF special drawing right. They were trying to get them to issue dollars or some kind of cryptocurrency against the SDR, but again, it's not a real asset because the IMF doesn't have any money. And the countries associated at the top rankings of the SDR don't have any money either right now. Therefore, it's not a valid asset. Therefore, it's rejected. As far as printing 500 billion or million, or it really doesn't matter the number at this point, the Fed is in the news. They're acting like NATO. No action, talk only.
Yep.
Just to keep the markets floating up and down, up and down. Mm-hmm.
When their license ended back in 2012 for printing or operating, is that correct?
Yeah, the agreement with the trust, for the trust to provide them with allocations, was June 15, 2011. The agreement to print currency on behalf of the United States government expired in 2012.
Oops. Right. So, what do you see for the future, or what would you like to see?
Vacation?
Yeah, we know that.
Go ahead, say it, Thomas. What do you tell me every time I say it?
It's not happening.
I know. Thank you.
Yes, we both need a vacation. It gets tiring and tiresome at times, fighting these clowns and the fun and games. So,
well, I mean, I truthfully hope that in the next couple of days, at the end of this 7-day cycle, that it'll be time to distribute funds for projects, for new technologies. I'd like to see people come up with some great new technologies, which I already know are out there. We see them all over the internet. We see people talking about them. And I think that those new technologies should be released. Without the non-compete plan, without the Johnson & Johnson trying to stop you, or any of the other big corporates, that have a tendency to rule the world. We've talked about that, Thomas. All those things have been the non-compete plan started in 75, under the World Trade Organization, which was the GATT, which virtually allowed for the trust to give free money, because obviously I didn't have this job at that time. I think I was 3. So allowed the trust to give these big corporates free money so that they could start their companies. Well, what company wouldn't be successful with free money on a consistent basis, pouring into it? So why shouldn't, grants and whatnot be available to other companies that are starting, right?
Yeah.
Or on a production basis, or on a job creation basis. As long as you're creating jobs with good wages or high wages and good pay, regardless if you're in the middle of Africa or you're in Eastern Europe or you're in the United States. Why is one person's day 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever it is in a day worth another person's, which is not worth the same? Why is it not worth the same? So I think everybody's time is valuable, and it doesn't matter what it is you're doing. You should be paid proper wages to support you.
Yep. Right, well, I'll get her back. The call just dropped. Obviously, clowns didn't like that. But we'll get her back. You dropped there.
Apparently, that's an unacceptable thing to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We
Sorry, to support a family where everybody's not running around starving all the time. You know, they even admit, on the Black Sun side of it, they'll admit to you that they created the system so everybody is always wanting.
Yeah.
That everybody always needs. There isn't ever a period of fulfillment.
It's that scarcity program again, isn't it?
Absolutely. Actually, that's what they call it. Remember, I showed you some of the lovely writings.
Yes. It's beyond sick, the way that they think or act. But we've made, I think we've made extraordinary strides this year. Of course, the Anu ended and the Destroyer ended this year.
Mm-hmm.
And some other minions as well along the way. And that's going to bring a brighter future for us all. But it will take time to address all the issues, and I think our members understand that.
Yeah, it is going to take time. I'm hoping that, sometime between now and the end of January that it will be time. I'm hoping that it might even be in the next couple of days. Right now, it appears that both sides, neither one of them got their abundance coming from their harvest.
Yep.
So both sides are for the next 48 hours, are going to be trying to fix the mechanism to try to make it happen. It's not even possible.
No. It's done.
So, no, it's done. But it might be a good time to try to do something else, I guess.
Yes. That involves all the people. It's important that everyone has an equal say and an equal input. And we're making giant strides. Final say?
I wanted to actually thank you, Thomas, for all your work this year, all the work that nobody knows about, that Thomas does all the time. Yes, Thomas relays a lot of information through the shows. He helps a lot of people with a lot of the op-ed pieces that he does. But Thomas actually does so much more. Not only for myself, he keeps me sane. That's a good thing. but Thomas does a lot of work behind the scenes, and a lot of the things that he reports are work that he has done himself. So everybody should thank Thomas for all the things that Thomas does, and you'd be surprised how many hats Thomas has of his own.
Thank you.
So I'd also like to thank all the members. None of this would be possible if all of you weren't doing all your shadow work and lighting up and treating people with love and compassion and all of the donations and all the things that Thomas has been able to do with helping some of the members through hard times and other people. So for that, I thank all of you. I appreciate everything that you do, not only for PHI and in the bigger picture, but also for all the people around the world. So I appreciate all of you listening individually very much. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say, I guess. Keep everything up. Keep up doing what you're doing right now. I don't think it's going to be much longer till we get our own version of a harvest. So,
yeah. Stuff. Right.
But thank you so much for having me on, Thomas. I know you've been going now for 4 hours straight, so yeah. I had to listen to the Drakey Cakey. That was pretty good.
That was classic. Glenn, he's good at it. Well, so I wanna say a big thanks to you from all the members, because I get lots of emails and chat and comments to pass on to you, and I always get a chance to do so. So here's our opportunity to say a big thanks to you from all at THI. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Thomas. I'm proud to be a member of the Tiny Club.
Yes.
Yeah, we're about the same height. My daughter has a name for you.
Right, okay.
You want to hear it?
Yes.
Everybody wants to hear it. She calls it the human version of Yoda. Because you're always giving her some kind of advice, some kind of, gentle, the way that you speak all the time, especially to my daughter. It's just, she calls you human Yoda.
Cool.
No reference to
good
tiny.
Stuff. Yeah.
Right. All right. You have a great rest of the show, Thomas.
Will do. And thanks, Kim. See you soon.
Okay. Take care.
Bye. Right. We're going to get into the final piece. I know it's gone way over, but there's important things that are still got to be said. And Kim played a song as a reminder to the clowns of who made who. We're going to play that now. The trust made them, and the trust will break them. Hi all, and welcome back. We're going to go into some intel now on the background of the extraordinary show we did last Saturday. And I am reliably informed it's the first time in history that a group of humans did that type of collective revoking of the dark forces on a mass public scale that spanned the globe, and it certainly is the case for this era of time. What may have appeared as a bit of a strikeout against the destroyer and the dark forces, I can assure you it went much further than that. Much further than even this planet, or even this universe. Our collective lack of the mystical knowledge, the ancient secrets, the hidden hand, and the unseen worlds and entities has left us all literally and figuratively in the dark. That, via this show, and many other researchers around the world, that is no longer the case. We are rising not only out of our slumber, but the thick, dark soup that surrounded us, not only on this planet and humans, but billions of planets and the variety of living beings. This planet is a nexus planet. It was the key. and required many attempts to correct things. Some stayed in here, some flitted in and out, many were slain in incalculable numbers, and some pick and chose their moments to interact. Much was learned in defeat of all the other attempts to free this universe. Items were collected and stored. Items were lost and had to be retrieved. Like a giant video game of collecting trinkets that would enable us to achieve certain goals or attainments. Without those objects, the game was a futile exercise in death and destruction. Key aspects were in the game. Some had to be transmuted, some destroyed, some who were allies turned and went dark and added to the difficulty of the tasks. Trust was eventually lost as more and more fell into the clutches of the dark, but as always, hope springs eternal. Fresh ideas, new strategy, higher understanding and higher frequency beings came in and set to work that involved several individuals, both known and not. Stealth was the order of the day, but the beacons were glowing and became obvious to the dark forces, and so they became the target of attacks, or fell for the 6 hooks or the power and seduction of the easy left-hand path. The destroyer is now gone, and that has brought much celebration far beyond here. That entity was all-pervasive and came in many forms, and the knowledge and awareness of that entity was better known outside of here than in here. In my vision from around 2012, early 2013, one of those forms was a Naga, a giant serpent that housed itself within the bowels of this planet, infecting from within, as within, and so without. This will explain my warning of grounding, and may also explain the piece I did back in February 2018 when I posed the question, is Mother Earth the source of infecting all beings who reside or come here? As not one species appears to be able to or acted in the correct manner under the guidance of Source. It was not just the destroyer who wreaked much damage and suffering, it had armies of minions, seduced not by the power of love, which is the harmonic source frequency, but the love of power. It is the mirror reverse magic spells again. Power of love became the love of power, and all too consuming. I could spend the rest of this show detailing the armies of the minions, but one stood out in our recent epoch of time, aided and abetted by his family, some of whom were bastard offspring, Anu, the symbol of the rose, known as the poisoned rose, and boy was he a thorn in the light-sided legions. Blinded by the power, he fought his own father, Alulu, and he took over the reins, and what followed was a reign of death, destruction, pain and suffering, which will not be forgotten for those who were affected, or by the many souls who died in the many battles, some of which are here today on this planet with us. Whilst it will not be forgotten, it is pointed at this point to remind you all that you must forgive them. No ifs or buts. Not forgiving them is keeping you in that failed timeline, marring you in their dark frequencies and traumas that only drives anger, hatred and other malevolent thoughts that are not conducive to your well-being or the planet. The planet feels and absorbs those frequencies. And like magnets, like attracts like. Letting it go is a must. It is what Source would want you to do. And remember, some of you will have played significant roles in the carnage and came back here to work off your karma for the light side. Perhaps now you'll fully understand the importance of shadow and inner work. It was not just this lifetime. Forgive them, for they know not what they do, is essential in this next phase. The poison rose, Anu, like the destroyer, is no more. Also the entity known as the Nemesis, another seven-headed serpent associated in mythology as the Red Dragon, was linked with the Nibiru story. That will no longer be returning either. That was slain back in 2013. I'm going to request all who are listening to this show to take part in the next stage of the process, and we're going to do another clarion call on behalf of humanity and other beings. They were trapped just like you. Our call out will be the release of the souls of 1,000 years. Repeat after me. We, the people, as representatives of Earth, and all living things on her, request to break out the souls of 1,000 years that demand to be free. Release them and bathe them in light. Thank you. Our message will be heard far and wide, like on Saturday. The events that normally surround the dates of the 21st to the 25th of December of sacrificing both vessels and souls has been the quietest on record. Those dates next year will be completely different. These dates within the epic scale of time are more modern than many will realise. Thousands of years, yes, but not millennia. There was no 21st through the 31st date at one point in our history. There was a period of our history when the 13th zodiac was included, and we had 13 months, not 12, until they hid the serpent, which is likely symbolic of the destroyer. Our year was 13 months of 20 days. So there was no December the 21st winter solstice. Our year lasted 260 days, which means our planet was closer to the sun back then. It then went, but not confirmed, to 320 or 325 days, and then later to 360 days, and now we have 365 and a quarter days. Why and how can that happen? Because our planet we call Earth, and Earth just means an inhabited planet. The real name was Midgard Sol 3, was moved via the drive engine contained within the planet. And for the benefit of the bloodline families who will think that they will be firing it back up and returning to their home in the Sirius constellation, that would be a no, not happening. Moving it has many permutations and connotations. Science will tell you we would all burn up being closer to the sun, and yet no one has asked why Mercury has not crumbled into dust yet. With that type of heat that they describe, chunks of the planet being heated to those extremes would have long been melted and broken off into space. Mercury would or should be venting out like a comet. Mercury ranges from 43 million miles down to 28.5 million miles away at its closest approach. It is not magic rock. It is only the same rock that we have on Earth. It makes no sense. So Earth was moved, I suspect, to change the frequency's dynamic. Remember, life can only be in regions of space that can sustain it. It needs the 7 primary matters. And from what I know and what I was told in download back in 2015, we were missing large parts of the G primary matter, and something that is not known here is the GNA aspect. Without that, this planet, which was for organic living beings like the water, inorganic beings could thrive where it was once not possible. That cloud and primary matter is returning. Some of you with abilities may be able to see it or immerse in it. Earlier this year, in preparation for later events, an event of epic proportions was carried out in Egypt. That initially was done by one person, but was returned to be redone by 2, symbolising the male and female balance returning. This began the process of activating the Earth grid, and source energy will flow like never before, or at least for a very long time. Full activation of that at the time of writing has not yet been realised, but it will manifest. The pyramids themselves are a symbol of Orion's belt. The Nile represents Eridanus, the river, but the river winding is also the representation of the serpent. Astronomical symbols are all around us, and if you read the Bible in an astronomical sense, not fake gods, much more can be understood and garnered. Real excitement is being felt and shown outside of this planet as our progress. It is beyond extraordinary on a hidden and metaphysical level. Some are feeling it on an external level, but that is the few. And only the few have developed themselves sufficiently to embrace that reality and understanding. The key to the future is to get as many tuned into and onto their own innate abilities. We have reports that 2 covens were attempting again to do their incantations and spell casts on Tuesday morning, the 24th of December, which is the last of the 3 days of darkness, and when they reign over humanity with their spells, chants, incantations to call on and call in the dark forces for the harvest, and also prevent in some way the alignment of the light sun. Reports came back and they failed, and we are hearing all of them who took part in that ritual incantation died. If that is the case, it is a clear sign their dark practices are coming to an end. My own intuition into that event is their time is up, of using magic for their own ends and purposes of the dark forces. Our revocation Saturday rubber stamped that significantly. Word of warning for all witches and covens, dark and light and dark magicians, your practices came at a price previously. Now it comes with added oomph. Those practices will not be tolerated going forward and will come with heavy consequences. If the 2 covens dying en masse is confirmed, there is your answer. But you are free to go ahead and make our day if you wish. Please quit that practice. You have no idea the damage you have all caused, whether knowingly or not. You now have a choice based on the real knowledge of your practices. Continue to do it, and you are operating as a dark-based entity, or quit and come and help us repair the damage you have all done. All magic and witchcraft-based practices, light or dark, were all lazy-ass based tech that call in the dark forces and spirits, when if you work on yourself, you will attain many abilities. You were all seduced by the lazy-ass left-hand path. We'll be back shortly. As we reach the final piece of today's epic, I didn't think it would go on this long. And the extraordinary events of the past week, and the messages we received from afar, real afar. And we received another one this morning, but the one yesterday says this: today, which was what is known as Christmas Day, marks the first day of the ascension of your Son in the age of light. Fear not of the coming of the times ahead. They will lead you to a greater sense of hope for the future. Be aware the tables have turned, and your governments rest firmly in your grasp. As it is clear the human oppressors have failed in their mission, guide them wisely into the coming age of the light and the restoration of the planet Earth. Your enemy has lost. No interference from dark forces has rendered them unable to move against you and the other light workers in your peripheral, known as the team, as you call it. The alignment allowed for travellers, such as the man you saw who was assigned to come and try and fix the harvesting session they had planned. They know it was you and your team that stopped the harvesting of Earth by completing the forgotten mission. Light is abundantly present everywhere now, and no need for louche farming to continue. They are a bit perplexed and angry as their control is no more. Much like your currency, or money as you call it, and your human oppressors' control and the power that comes with it, also did the control and the power that came to them by controlling supply of louche and all that is possible with it. Just as your currency shall now become free flowing and available to all, so too is louche throughout the universe, and the controller's reign shall also end. The same with your oppressors. The Creator gives its love and light freely to all. It is and was absurd for those to wish to control it. This was the role of the destroyer. Create the problem and be the solution, as you say. I'm sure you can fill in the rest of what happened from there. No need for us to explain. Just as your human oppressors are feeling lost and confused, so too are the oppressors of the universe, multiverse, and for that matter, throughout all of creation. Become all that has been and all that will be. Grow in love and peace, not war and oppression. We love you, we go in peace and the love of the Creator. This week, for the first time in thousands of years, there was a real sun alignment. And the 25th of December marked the first day of the sun ascension process. And this is the background to it. Most every day in December, various points on Earth, pyramids, and other key points align with various star systems to commence the louche farming. However, once every 1,000 years, Earth aligns with the centre of the universe. This year, this alignment was markedly different, as in all previous millennia, the centre of the universe was a black hole, the opposite of the light. At that time, it would allow for the destroyer, black magicians, to be freed from his entrapment by channeling the dark forces here on Earth. Remember the story of the devil being bound in the centre of the earth for 1,000 years. This is the true tale and the meaning behind it. This 1,000-year alignment was not the same as days before. The centre of the universe was now completely of light of the Creator, and the opposite effect happened. Stars were restored, including our own sun. Light flows freely throughout the multiverse and is no longer being destroyed. The light of the Creator, the energy, is free and no longer controlled by those on and off this planet. This alignment gave our planet a boost, which will eventually change in a positive way all organic life, both within and on the surface. Inside the earth, there is a ballast of sorts, a large ball of gold which is over 1,000 miles in diameter. This ball or ballast, and the closest point to the Earth's crust, would be between Malakoff Historic Park in California and Yellowstone Park. The meaning behind ballast is there are large sections of gold placed around this planet, and it acts like a stabilizer for the whole planet. Should that be removed, the planet would spin off into space with no return. Predictably, the greed-based clowns tried to acquire this ballast gold, and that was prevented. The reality is, gold is not a rare metal. There is thousands of metric tons all over this planet, with the ballast gold, the vault gold, and other deposits that were stolen. They do not have access to that gold anymore, despite claims to the contrary of the more corrupt elements within the alt media. This ball is a conductor of Creator light and energy. During the current alignment with the central sun, this ball has been conducting a massive amount of Creator energy to this planet. And since the louche farming mechanism failed, this energy will remain here on Earth. and will be conducted to all organic life on this planet. Our stargate within our sun will be restored in light. Only those of the light are free to travel from star to star via the restoration of the stargate systems. This will take some time, but not long. Remember, it was stated God created the earth in 7 days. This period of time between the 21st of December and the 28th of December every 1,000 years, give or take due to our planetary movement, would have been during one of these alignments with the source creator God energy. As Einstein said, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it can only be transformed, whilst true for the most part, unless you are speaking of the ultimate darkness or the creator itself. The multiverse is once again expanding, and the creator influence on the restoration of this planet cannot be reversed. The corporate controls over technology, poisoning of food and water will no longer hold. Clean energy sources cannot be held back. Currency will no longer be a control system and a draining of life force, but a giver of life force energy. All of these will be delivered within the next decade, some much sooner. It is an amazing time to be alive on this planet. Embrace all you have accomplished, each and every one of you. We knew without doing your shadow work, connecting to your higher self and all the other tools you have been given via this show, we wouldn't have made it through the rockiest time this earth has seen in over 1,000 years. Embrace the changes to come. It is restoration time. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name is Thomas Williams. Bye for now.